What is going on, guys? Welcome back to our Wednesday stream. Tales of the Jedi just came out last night. New episode of Andor. We're here with Brent, Agent Grogu, Corey, and of course, Levi.
And Johnny's still watching it.
Johnny's
he'll be here soon.
As we speak, he'll be here. How we feeling, guys? How we feeling?
He's been busy.
Oh, man. This, God, watching all 6 episodes last night was like a dream. I forget that it happened because it was very late.
But, yeah, it was, wasn't it? I agree.
But so I haven't seen Andor yet, but for Tales of the Jedi at least, like that Clone Wars episode, man, that's just
I think we'll probably all agree that
we can all concur. Yeah, I think me and Levi might reign in the parade a little bit for a few of the episodes.
Well,
I know. The tables have turned. You come in, you give us the Andor hate. I think
no.
That's
yeah. Okay.
Straight off the hate.
Episode 5, Practice Makes Perfect. My favorite episode. Absolutely flawless. Made me tear up. Just a little bit. That was really emotional. Fantastic episode.
Yeah.
But let's just talk Tales first. Yeah, because you haven't seen Andor.
Tales talk.
I'll bail out when you guys talk Andor. Honestly, I was, you know what? I looked up what happened in Andor already. So
what? No, it was a solid episode.
Andor is better than Tales of the Jedi today. Sorry,
that's what I'm talking about. Andor was better than Tales of the Jedi. I watched Andor first, and I felt rewarded. I was like, I made the right choice. However, speaking positively about Practice Makes Perfect. Yeah, I thought it would only be like a Twitter observation that Anakin, and like a cool little Easter egg that Anakin directly teaches her the move that helps her save her life.
That is like,
but then they explicitly make it like they cut through, and I was like, damn, that's like, it's heavy. And when it cuts to them, that little in between scene before they head out to do the fake plan, it's brutal. It's just that was all. The whole thing was gut wrenching.
Yeah. But that's also years and years of training to get her to that stage. I mean, think about that too, to get her as good as the clones to defend against them. That was just such an emotional impact. Of
it's funny though, even that episode had an unnecessary level of retcon where Kanan and were there, and I was like, why? I was like, he's not supposed to do this until the end of the Clone Wars. He doesn't know Depa yet. I'm like, why, Dave? You had to put them there.
I know.
So annoying.
I thought that was hilarious. It's so
I was
that they were in there.
fine with that.
Isn't that just like retconning a bit of his own show?
I know. I'm like, stop.
He had they had the models from the Bad Batch, so they're like, yeah, let's throw them in here.
I know. Makes sense.
Let's save some money and
yeah.
I was just gonna bring that up.
I have to admit, it was a little strange that it was only Kanan and his master that were there.
Yeah,
and no other Jedi.
No, these other people.
Yeah, I know.
You're okay, Fisto in there. Like,
well, no, but I'm saying like Padawans. I'm referring to Padawans watching. It was unique to have. He was the only other Padawan that was there.
You could have had Gunji in there. Come on.
So technically,
Gunji wasn't around at that time.
So technically, though, that it is true that Kanan or Caleb, I guess at that point, Caleb and Ahsoka would have seen each other. That was technically canon, but the fact that Depa is his master is not supposed to happen until the very end of the Clone Wars.
Right.
And this is obviously very early on. She only has one lightsaber. It's Phase 1 clone troopers, so like that doesn't make any sense. And that was established in Rebels and Expanded Universe that Kanan is not. Like, he doesn't have a great training process. He loses masters. Like, it's he wasn't a complete Padawan. So for him to like be there, it was just weird. I was like, obviously, super small nitpick on a nearly perfect episode.
I saw that and I was like,
I just found it funny though that they had to do that. I'm like, you didn't have to do that. Like, you really didn't. You really didn't need to do that.
Corey, what are we going to do with these two?
It's funny. Last night, as I was watching it, I just kept thinking, every time I saw an inconsistency, I was like, Levi's not doing it.
I said the same thing.
This is too much.
I mean,
Levi's brain's going to break.
No, I do think this episode was perfection in so many ways. Like, the minute that Anakin walked into that training room and you saw the updated animation in its full glory, it took me out of it for a second because I was like, this is too perfect.
Yeah, it's a little weird seeing Ahsoka, like season 2 Ahsoka.
It was bizarre. It was so bizarre. And
that was actually
such a great animation.
That was actually a new outfit, though. That was a new Ahsoka outfit.
Training outfit.
That we hadn't seen before.
since we're on this episode right now, okay, at the beginning we see the other clone troopers. They're not quite yet into the 501st, it seems, and stuff like that, or at least up to the level. But I mean, would characters like Fives and obviously Jesse was there, but Jesse was there, but
which I also thought was like a little on the nose.
Fives
I was like, come on,
that was a great
It's
moment.
like Jesse from the Clone Wars really did
no,
sorry,
the fact that it's Jesse who tries to kill her later too. I'm like, it has to be Jesse.
Never Jesse from the Clone Wars who tries to kill you later during Order 66.
You didn't put that together? I was like, oh, it's Jesse from Order 66, the main clone who tries to kill her. I was like, come on. I was like, a little on the nose.
Oh, Levi, go watch Andor.
I will.
You will.
I liked it though. I liked it. I just thought because I love obviously D's like, sorry, Commander. Like I love that, but I was like, I rolled my eyes in a happy way of like, oh, of course it was Jesse. Who was like, he's gonna try and kill her.
It's comedic.
Yeah, I thought that was a little like Star Wars. Star Wars. That one.
My clone heart was so full in that moment, just like because what happened in that moment for me was I went, oh, that's Olive Touring Company right there. Like that's not just Jesse, that's Kix and Hardcase, and I don't know if Fives and Echo would be.
Yeah, because they came in a bit later, didn't they?
Well, they had already. I know after Rishi, like they got new armor, but I don't know if there was a transitional period there or not.
Right.
It's left ambiguous.
When Ahsoka wakes up in the time jump, that's my favorite part of the episode because so much happened. You know what happens in between that time.
Oh yeah.
Like so many seasons of Clone Wars.
Yes, yeah.
It's not just her who's older now. It's like all the clones are like fully 501st now.
Yeah.
You got Anakin with his updated look.
I know it was so great, and it's like where do you think they were going? Like who knows? That was season 4 Ahsoka, yeah. So
season 4.
They were on their way to Water Wars, or I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe
about to jump in the ocean.
Yeah, they're going somewhere. It's awesome.
But it answers that little, that question of, how could Ahsoka take on so many troopers? And I love the fact that Dave kind of sets and plants those seeds. It's, Anakin was the one who pushed her so much at the beginning. And, Anakin was a bit of a douchebag at the beginning to Ahsoka. We saw that in the first Clone Wars movie. And we never quite got to see it after that point. But we do get to see a little bit more of the fact that he turns up late to her anointment.
That was a little different of like a douchebaggery. Clone Wars, it was like deny, like he didn't want an apprentice. I think at this point he was being hard on her.
See, I think at the very beginning, I felt like he still didn't want an apprentice, and he was still not caring and was coming in late. And
I think that is the Clone Wars movie arc. I think that's like the arc of the movie. It's by the end of it, he's down with it.
Well, also, I felt like because at first when I was first watching, I was like, wow, Anakin's being super harsh and too harsh, and then I as it was going forward, I was like, but at the end of the day, like this is war. These are tactics that Ahsoka needs to know, and on top of that, there's a reason why she's one of the only surviving Jedi, and that's because she was the best.
Yeah.
The best way I can protect you is by teaching you to protect yourself.
But every time little things like that happen, I just think of Rebels, and it's even more heartbreaking thinking about their school and how throughout the Clone Wars, Anakin's always saying I'll never let anyone hurt you, and I'm going to defend you, and then she's facing that very person. It's just crazy.
Because he even had that line about only things with a blaster, not with a lightsaber, and I'm like, I was like, that's tough, Anakin.
Yeah,
it's tough.
And what a great moment when Anakin does turn up late at the beginning, and Obi-Wan makes the snarky comment, and of course when Ahsoka turns up late.
Just because I'm in a weird mood with all the inconsistencies, why is it mullet Obi-Wan? That's like Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan. He doesn't have the mullet at this point. Like, did he grow it out between Clone Wars episodes and then cut it again? I was like,
he's not wrong.
I was like, what is this? I was like, why is it this Obi-Wan? It doesn't make any sense. And then another funny one at the end was very clearly, I don't know, Corey, you might have noticed this too, but when the door opens on Jesse and it's the season 7 scene, there's 100 more clones that were there.
There was.
And I was like, that is comical. I'm like, there were not that many clones in that scene, and they don't even look right all fitting there. Like, they're not in formation. I was like, clearly they
also,
were there was definitely additionals.
I just kept thinking, I was like, oh, they should die here.
They added more clones. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit weird. I'm like, why did you add 300 more clones?
Do you think that scene was like initially in Siege of Mandalore and then it was just removed, or do you think they wrote that directly for this episode?
It was wrote for the episode.
Yeah, I did feel like the animation was slightly updated on both Rex and Ahsoka in that moment too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
just keeps getting better and better.
But that was that. I think, yeah. If I would have to rate that episode though, I'd give it a solid like 8.5 or 9. Like that was really good.
That's a 10er.
It was a 10 for me. Yeah, it was a 10 for me.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode.
It's my favorite episode too.
Yeah.
Well, you guys noticed that James's Obi-Wan definitely sounded
weird. Yep.
Like he had a cold or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that or he was trying to whisper because
I think he was trying to whisper.
He was trying to whisper and it didn't come across
right. It's a hard voice to do quietly.
It actually is. Yeah, the idea is he had to be quiet because she was in the middle of it.
And also, he had a mullet for some reason. I don't understand why. He had a mullet.
I'm confused. I am confused on that bit.
It's like I'm like, why does he have it? I don't know. I mean, I liked it. I was like, that looks nice, but why? That's the one thing you got to say with this show. This show is gorgeous. It is easily the best Star Wars animation has ever looked. There are certain things, certain character models that look photorealistic. It looks like you're like the RA7 protocol droid in the first Dooku episode that walks out. Like just the droid itself. I was like, that looks like a real droid in live action. Or some of the shots of the T6 like flying in. Which I mean, we started with episode 5 for some reason.
Well, no, let's stick with the Ahsoka. Let's stick with Ahsoka.
Okay.
Dooku.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
We'll go back to episode 1.
I didn't watch. We saw it at Celebration.
We saw that at Celebration.
Liked it.
Yeah,
it's good.
I didn't rewatch it.
I rewatched it. I mean, I watched it with my guys, and I just again the textures are even better than what we saw from season 7 of the Clone Wars, and you know, there's just all these little moments of little particles in the air. It just got even better. You got to acknowledge that how beautiful it is.
Yeah, and those two Ahsoka episodes sort of feel more like what this show should have been. Like stories that are, like they don't need to be told, but they're just sort of fun, character tidbits.
Yeah.
Which is where I sort of draw issue in episode 6, where I think that this is way too important of a thing to cram into 10 minutes.
I agree.
Yeah, of course. It's great to see, baby Ahsoka and the origins of her. Yeah, it would have been good to see Plo Koon.
I think for both sets of arcs, I just kept thinking like, oh, this could have been a show leading
movie.
To this moment.
I know it could have.
Yeah, like I love the concept of what this is, but I do think that these characters are big enough to warrant their own like spin-off miniseries or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times even in a singular episode where between cuts there'd be an implied time jump where things would change and be like, well, I want to see that because there's clearly way more story going on for these characters that I know about because I've read a book or something, but like there needs to be. At least I felt like these characters deserved, and particularly these stories deserved much longer. I said to Ben last night, like they deserve like a Clone Wars length movie kind of thing. Like we got 30 minutes about each, but just make it like an arc of Clone Wars essentially in terms of length because it needs that time. I think.
God, could you imagine that? I feel like these were so good, but they were also like a tease of what we could have. And
this is exactly my point about how like. It was promised as shorts from the beginning. And Dave Filoni at Celebration, he's like, I wrote these on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, sort of just for fun, just like, he didn't think they were ever going to get made.
Yeah.
But
that's what he said.
Yeah. And the shorts are, like, they're fun, but like, why take such important content that could be much, like, better explored further down the line and sort of, like, take that off the table by making, like, a canon short about it? Because now we can't see post-Revenge Ahsoka anymore. Or like that period because we got this like one day then as opposed to like a year and a half of development that happens in the book.
Yeah, you never know. Dave might retcon this whole show in a year.
I was gonna say that. He could.
So let's talk about the.
Let's get into Resolve. I want to hear your guys' thoughts first.
Episode 6.
I see people liking it a lot. So
episode 6, and I want to be. I've read some interviews with Dave today, so I want to lay the ground rules about how he made this thing. So. Way back in the day when Clone Wars got canceled, he had an outline for what was happening to Ahsoka outside of, Clone Wars, after the Clone Wars. And he gave that outline to publishing. And based off of that outline, E.K. Johnston wrote a novel called Ahsoka about that outline with Dave's input. This short, he has said, is based off of that same outline. But to me, with a novel, you get like a 300-page novel where you get to explore the outline. This still feels just like the outline. Like it's just here are the
Yeah,
beats
like-
of what may or may not happen in
And
that
like
time,
not even though,
and not
like,
even fleshed out. And
not
he
even
did-
close.
And it to me, the opening, right? I think we'd all agree. Opening with the funeral, great. Everything on Naboo,
Uh-huh.
amazing. Loved it.
Yep.
And then everything after that was like, I wasn't there for it. And not just because it was a retcon,
Really?
just because it felt it was rushed.
Yep.
Like the fact that
Yeah, we could have spent
It-
more time on it.
it-
Yeah, I agree.
it was just felt hollow. Like I
Yeah.
don't know these characters in the village. Clearly, there's
Yeah.
implied, like I said, between cuts there'd be implied
Mhm.
time jumps, and she
Yeah.
uses, as you know, Ahsoka uses the Force once to like move some hay bales out of the
Yeah.
way, and that's what brings an Inquisitor, and then she instantly kills the Inquisitor, and then
That's
that's
all
it.
it
Now
takes.
she's back. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, okay,
uh,
wait. The
Sorry,
instant,
I
the
went
instant
too
kill,
far in.
the instant kill of the Inquisitor, from my perspective, is that's how good she is now, and we know it. We've seen it. We've just seen her train and go up against the strongest of the clone, the clone army.
This would
So
be her
for her to
weakest
take down an Inquisitor shouldn't be that hard at that point in time, especially since the Inquisitors are relatively new. I'm gathering that's earlier
Well,
on.
that's what I think about like Rebels Ahsoka, who's at her like strength, but this is like the
Right.
weakest Ahsoka ever is. Like this is I don't want to be a Jedi
Mm.
anymore, Ahsoka.
You're going from the books that is the weakest. Yeah.
I'm going from
Yeah.
the show where she says I don't
Right.
want to fight anymore to bail.
Right.
Like this is her
Gotcha.
lowest
Okay.
point of I am hiding. She
Right.
doesn't want to fight.
Mhm.
And the fact that she just like one shots this Inquisitor, I don't know. Sorry,
Mm.
someone else.
Yeah,
Ben,
okay.
you're
Well,
like-
yeah. Here's my hate coming in on this episode. Yeah, I did not like anything past the the title girl, because yeah, the Padme like funeral scene, absolutely amazing. Like just her talking to Bale, and Bale sort of like giving her this message. We're
Yep.
talking to the clones. You have some of that classic Clone Wars humor in there, where the like clones are like
Mhm.
just sort of like nod at each other, and it's like, what is
Yeah.
he talking about?
Yeah.
You see the shot of her like just dropping silently, like that was all so great, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is a 10 out of 10 episode. And then we got into the chunk of it. This is what bothers me, right? I like the book. I've read it. I'm a big fan.
Mhm.
But I'm not just gonna hate on it because it's like, well, this is cooler in the book. It's less the fact that this is the point in Ahsoka's arc where she has to go from being all of her friends are dead, everything she's ever known is gone.
Mhm.
Like she doesn't want anything. She doesn't want to be a fighter anymore. That's what she says in the beginning of the episode.
Right.
And we have to get her from there to becoming a rebel agent, right?
Right.
So
She becomes Fulcrum.
what are the events in this episode that kick her off to that? She force pushes a hay bale.
Mhm.
A dude calls the Empire on her. They send an Inquisitor. He kills everyone. She one-shots him, and she's like, "Okay, I'm a fighter now." Like, where's the arc there? I mean, if anything, she should be more disillusioned with the Jedi. She should be like,
that makes
"No,
sense.
like,
Makes sense.
if being a Jedi is going to get all these people killed, I really shouldn't use my powers." Like,
Mhm.
there's just nothing in there that like, there's no arc there at all. Like, she just decides. Like, it's so lame to me. Or in the book, it's a whole year and a half of her working on this planet. The planet is supposed to be Rada. I don't know if you guys know, or Rada.
Yeah.
The girl's name is Kaden. They don't explore any of that.
Right.
But Ahsoka's there for over a year, and she sees the Empire come in. At first, she thinks it's for her, but it ends up they're just going to this super outer rim planet
Right.
to take advantage of it. They're going to deplete it of its resources. The people don't know it, but from the perspective of an Imperial agent, they're just going to completely deplete it and move on.
Mhm.
And Ahsoka sees this in real time as the fists of the Empire tightens. They come and they start making the workers, work extra long shifts. Like
Right.
the people are dying out in the fields. Like people say it's a kid's book. Like there's a lot of pretty intense scenes
Yeah.
in the book. Like, and she this is when she realizes that she can't be. She knows how bad it's gonna get. Like she can't be just watching as this all goes down. So she does something about it. She organizes an entire
Yeah.
rebellion on the planet. Like it's really great stuff. And she goes out and she goes on these hauling missions, but she starts doing this like hero work on the side. It's almost like a superhero like origin story where she like starts saving people and she's like, I like doing this.
Yeah.
Like, and then it all the way leads up into her coming across Bale.
Yeah.
And she takes up Fulcrum, and she meets R2 again. And there's just so much there that makes her want to become
From the book.
a soldier again in the book. And
Yeah.
and it doesn't need to copy the book, like whatever. The book has its flaws, but like I just don't like what we got in terms of like why does she become the Ahsoka we see in Rebels? Like, is this the only piece of media we're gonna get that's gonna bridge like Ahsoka to Rebels? Like that's it? She pushes a piece of hay. Like
I said, it's bothersome not because it retcons the book, but because it is the same outline. It is the same events where she meets up with Bail eventually. Like the fact that it was even the blockade runner coming in, like that happens in the novel too. Like the blockade runner coming in and Bail, like there are certain things where it's like this is the same, but it's just like more condensed and none of the development for that.
Actually,
I know,
and all the characters are missing in it, right? All the ones from the book.
Well, it's weird because
like 95% of them, just like the girl.
That is weird. Yeah.
But the fact in the credits that the Inquisitor isn't even named as the sixth brother. They don't have all of the characters are farmer boy, farmer girl, old man. Like they don't even add. That's because it's still just an outline. That's what it feels like. It feels like just an outline of what it could have been.
And maybe it is the temptation of them doing something physical in the future, whether it's live action or animation again, that they want to properly really delve into this story. I think he's just testing the waters of how the reactions are to it, and then they can totally adapt from this if they wanted to.
But like what? So they do this, and then 2 years they retcon it again. Like that's not gonna happen. Like this is
possibly. I mean, Well, retconning or at least adding an extension of what we've seen already. I mean, Dave is very good at taking something and then extending it a little bit further, right down to the second, right into the next scene as we move forward.
I don't think that 10-minute episode leaves any room for a retelling of the story. Like, based on her relationships with the characters at the end of the episode, like you can't have what was there before if you don't. I don't know. It's just and it's like you can still tell a story about like Fulcrum Ahsoka like early on, like before Rebels, and like I'm down for that, but that's not the meat of the story. The meat of the story is Ahsoka's arc to becoming a rebel.
Yeah, you're right.
We brush over it in just the lamest way. So this episode thumbs down for me. No,
I think.
Corey, what do you think?
What?
I said, Corey, what do you think?
My thing with it is, so when Bad Batch was announced, super hyped about it, very excited about it. But I do remember being like, wow, I actually wish we also had a show that focused on Rex and Ahsoka post Order 66.
Yeah.
That always felt like the most logical.
Natural.
Like,
you got a taste of that here.
Past Clone Wars.
And it was so sweet. I got a taste.
And we got a taste of it, but at the same time, I was like, wow, I want to see more of that. I want to see how like they part ways, and obviously, I don't know. I think we're gonna get a lot of that Rex stuff in Bad Batch, but hopefully we do. But I definitely wanted to see more of that. So it was cool to get a bit of it here. I do agree. The farming part and all that, I thought it was just okay. This was not my favorite by any means, and I do understand the frustration some people have with the change in the novels and whatnot, because this does seem to be the most egregious version of that. Where it's just like if most of the characters are missing and events aren't being played out the same way. But why even tackle it? Or if you're going to tackle it, just adapt it. I don't know. It's strange. It's a strange move.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it is kind of an adaptation. It's just the story, but worse.
That's what's weird is it's like there's no reason why they couldn't like show those other characters in it, right? It's not because these characters mean nothing to us already because we don't know who they are. So you might as well throw in the book characters because it doesn't change anything who you have there. So it's a little bit strange. I think the first two Ahsoka episodes were really big standouts. I would have preferred if we only got 3 Ahsoka episodes. I would have preferred the first episode to be about the one we got, the second episode to be where Plo Koon.
Yeah, I agree.
And the third episode to be the Clone Wars one, but the prologue of that episode be what we got in the beginning of this episode. And that would have been like the perfect 3.
Yeah, that sounds exactly.
And we know that Dave wrote it because Dave said he wrote it. He was like, but I'm not going to make that yet.
Yeah.
He told us. He said, I could tell that story. And I was like,
that's what's so great is that like if that was how it was, it would be what the show was advertised as. Is these shorts within the Clone Wars era about the Jedi. And instead, I just don't understand why you take. I think it was the shortest episode too.
It was.
resolve.
Yeah.
It was actually 8.5 minutes total without the credits.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Like,
Gosh,
why
that's so
go
short.
and tell such an important like?
Yeah.
And just
No, I
honestly,
agree.
besides the Ahsoka series coming up, there's not that
Yeah.
much more Ahsoka story to be told. Like in the middle.
Oh, there's plenty. To be
I
told
don't
in the
know,
middle.
Brent.
There is
I mean-
plenty to be told in the middle.
Like yeah, there's like
This
there's like I
moment
said,
in
there's like
time.
Fulcrum
This moment
agent
in time
stuff,
between-
and
Yeah.
then like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
post
Oh,
Rebels.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
I said the Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Pre
Yeah,
Rebels,
pre-rebels. Yeah, pre-rebels.
like
Yeah, where
this
that
was it. This is
Right.
really the biggest chunk they had
Yeah.
less to tell, and they cram it into like 8 minutes. Like what? I don't
Yeah.
understand the point of it. I don't, and I'm sad that this is now what's
Yeah.
canon. So
There was 2 other points I wanted to make about this episode, if I could.
Sure.
First, my first reaction of seeing Ahsoka when she was on the farm, she was very much like Obi-Wan Kenobi when we saw him in Kenobi, just very, in the corner and eating quietly. And I thought that was a cool connection to how Kenobi was dealing with his
Well, it's like
post
Jedi Fallen Order,
66.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big Cal Kestis
It's
vibe.
big Cal Kestis, like
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
the exact same carbon
Yeah.
copy.
Oh, yeah. So
Kind of
all the
thing.
Jedi really did just, eat by themselves and quietly in the corner and just
Yeah.
not want to be, which is really nice, a nice touch. And the second thing was at the very end of the episode, when you consider the fact of how dark it really gets, these people that Bail comes to save is taking them probably to Alderaan. And we know what happens there.
Oh,
So
geez.
really, these people didn't get saved. They just went to another place to die.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm sure
So
he
bleak.
put him to
I don't
something
know.
else.
They have some
They had
time.
nowhere. They said they were poor. They had nowhere else to go.
No,
So
but there's
if
a
Bail
whole
had taken them
galaxy.
to
And even
Ald-
even
Yeah,
if they're gonna
is,
stay on Alderaan
but-
for 20 years, no,
Yeah, come on, they got 20 years
and
and
there's-
they die
Come on,
instantly.
they might have made a life there or something. You
That's
don't
my
know.
headcanon. They went to Alderaan. That's
They
how
went to
much-
Alderaan.
I don't know, Brent. You're still
Cool.
hyper focused on these like 5 people besides the like thousands that also die in Alderaan,
No, for sure.
and the
But-
millions that
but-
die in the Death Star, Brent.
But the reality
do you
is,
value the life?
if you want to go subconsciously dark,
You're like that pilot in
would
Mando
be
2
darker.
finale.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just found it funny.
I gotta tell you, like those side characters, man, I did not
Okay.
like them.
Okay, maybe a
Yeah,
hot
no,
take here.
it-
Maybe
it
a hot
was a
take.
mix. It was a
Maybe a
rough
hot
mix.
take. I like Trace and Rafa way more than I do any of those side characters on that farm.
Yeah,
I mean,
they-
we saw them for like
Yeah.
like 30 seconds.
We
of
didn't
dialogue.
get to know.
I know, but
those
to
characters.
me, they are more annoying than Trace and Rafa ever were to me.
Okay.
I
Like
love
the-
the scene where the guy's sister's just like,
May the
it's like,
force
"Look
be
what
with
you've
you.
done." Dude, I hate that guy. He sucks.
I know.
Oh,
I was like, you
yeah.
Oh
suck.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
the reincarnation of Tim,
I'm Tim. No, yeah, Tim.
or I guess the
I wanna-
pre-Tim.
Pre
I wanted the
Tim.
Inquisitor to friggin' just.
Okay, and let's talk about the Inquisitor for a second.
Oh, dude,
Looked-
Inquisitor's whack.
Looked really cool.
Yeah.
Very strange execution on all
You
fronts.
deflate.
Voiced by Clancy Brown, of course, who didn't get as much dialogue this time around, but yeah.
Yeah, he
Why
like
does he
yeah,
deflate? He poofs in his
deflated.
smoke.
People think he's. I've seen people say that they think he might be the species that Kalteska is, but and
hey,
watching
that's
him,
guy
I don't.
Cohen.
Yeah, I don't know if structurally that works.
I don't
but-
think.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It's just it was weird. Oh, okay.
Can you imagine Inquisitor rolling around?
I forgot one of my like huge
I would
issues
love that.
with this episode. Then we'll move on because I don't like being
Yeah,
so negative.
because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got Dooku to talk about. which I think we're
yes.
almost more positive.
Why did the heck did she not take the crystals? Where do her lightsabers come from in
I know.
Rebels?
That's one of the biggest parts of the book is that,
That
she
is-
gest her white.
Yeah,
blade
that is
from
like
purifying
a huge part of,
Inquisitor
and then
blades.
throughout the whole book, she's gathering all these little pieces of junk like from around the galaxy, and she uses to make her katanas.
We'll get
Like-
to see it sometime in the future.
I don't know if we.
Why
will.
not now though? Why not? This is the time you take the Inquisitor's lightsaber and you purify
That's a
them.
big-
They become
as you
white.
said, it's a bigger story. It's a big.
Also,
I
she
did
did
say that though. This should have been the bigger story.
I
That's
know.
what
I
I'm
agree.
trying to say.
No, I agree.
And she did. I thought it was a little weird because she did the Rebels move on the Inquisitor, which I associate with the Ahsoka 15 years later of turning off the blade. Like the
Right.
fact that she's doing that now, I was like, she's already here. Like I don't know. It just seemed like the fight in the book is just so good, with like how she has to struggle with that, and it's all this leading up to making this decision to fight, and how she has to do it. And here, where she just moves the hay bale and then instantly kills this guy and like I want to fight again. I don't know.
I love
Yeah.
Dave. Dave's like my favorite, creative mind for sure. The one thing I will say that I've noticed is I feel like Dave wants to sort of write the characters he created in like his terms, right? So like, which is not necessarily a great thing because it retcons other things. But I still love Dave, and like but I think I have a feeling that's where his mindset's at. It's like, let's tell a different version of this one story. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, for instance, I actually like the Bad Batch canon stuff. I know some people don't and prefer the comic version. I think either or is pretty good. Yeah. But this one is a pretty big like
difference.
Different.
See, I was saying this or two earlier. In the case of Bad Batch, I was able to grow to accept that one because when you take the events like on like a surface level, it's Caleb Dune on the planet Caller. There's Commander Gray, and like the characters are there. Like they even in Bad Batch took the time to respect like one of the clones' names that was in the comic and put that in the show and credited it as like one of the things. Like they went that step at least to be like from a surface level view. Like, you know, if you're say in Andor, like if you're you haven't seen it, Corey, but someone's reading a report and like the report's not accurate, like on that level, like, you know, the stuff's the same. Whereas in the Ahsoka thing, it's like it's all over the place.
Well,
I'm like,
they also took like the unique twist on it by putting the Bad Batch in there. Like like so at least it has something to offer besides the comic version.
It gives something.
But this like is literally just like a horribly dumbed down version that doesn't provide anything like good. Because I can look at the Bad Batch and be like, well, it's cool because the Bad Batch are there. They interact with Kanan.
I'm curious in the reference of like, is this just one of those taste testers to put out there to show and prove to both Disney and Lucasfilm that the animation still needs to go forward at its strongest point and that people are still invested in this time period of these characters? And granted, yes, a great deal of the Clone Wars stories have been told, but there are other stories to be told before, slightly after, and now is the time to drop this to see if they move forward as strongly as we hope Dave wants to move strongly with this stuff.
Well, and to that point, like, I think after watching that Clone Wars episode, I was like, okay,
I want more.
I understand the Clone Wars is wrapped up. I get it.
Yeah.
But truth be told, there's no reason why we can't get more stories in the Clone Wars that are filling in gaps. Like
absolutely,
especially in that animation style. Like, it's just too good to not do more of. And oh god, like I want to see Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan in battle in that animation style with the clones. Like I can't.
Just give us season 8 and just like make it what season 6 was, you know?
Exactly.
The lost
more lost episodes, guys.
More lost. There's so many lost episodes.
Star Wars.
Let's find them. Let's dig them up, Dave.
I mean, it's not. It's funny, but it's true. Like there's so many of those cinematics that are like.
Totally.
I mean, look at Crystal. Look at Crystal Crisis. Like it's
that's there. Yeah.
Imagine Son of Dathomir.
2.
Yeah. Oh god.
Son of Dathomir in that animation
so badly.
Crazy.
So
well, HoloNet Marauders are in the chat of AJ, I bet he said he just finished the episode, so we're talking about Ahsoka right now. Johnny popped in there for a second, and I wanted to get
it wasn't actually Johnny. It was just a picture of Johnny.
Yeah, it was a picture. So I wanted to get his.
There you go.
I wanted to get his thoughts on Ahsoka before we switch to Dooku. But
I want his Clone Wars thoughts because I know.
We'll get on to Dooku.
We can switch to Dooku.
Out, he can do a quick take.
Right before we switch to Dooku, I noticed. So the episodes were actually in chronological order.
Yes, let's do that as well.
Is how no. I mean, and how they were on.
Oh no, totally.
The season. It was season. Episode 1 was
No, I would have put episode 2 a little bit prior.
Yeah, no, 2 probably before Ahsoka was burned.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Okay, then why did the? Okay, I was trying to rationalize like the order of the episodes. Like I don't know why they just didn't do 3 Dooku 3.
Yeah,
I sort of liked. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's 14 years was all it was from the beginning of. Oh no,
I didn't watch it in order, so I can't really speak.
All right, whatever. Anyway,
Anyway,
the Dooku ones were certainly in chronological order. So Count Dooku, 3 episodes. Good, bad. Let's talk about them. I do want to make the point really quickly that I found it very funny that like 4 or 5 of the episodes all started with the exact same shot of either the Jedi Temple or a T6 flying
T6 shuttle.
I was like, it's the same shot, saving the money.
I was fine with it. Actually, I think I even commented in my reaction video. It was just like, oh, we get at the shuttle again. Yes. I was fine with
I
it.
like that. I was like,
I was
down
fine
for
with
them,
that.
Let's go.
And
Yeah,
that's one of those moments where I was like, damn, that's photoreal. Like that looks like a.
Don is going to pay $500 to get Solo 2 to happen. I think
John.
I'm going to take a little more than that.
A little. I would also pay $500.
Yeah.
I'd contribute.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
contribute. All right, Dooku.
Mhm.
Dooku.
Take
Dooku.
it away.
Take it
Because
away.
I have many Dooku thoughts, but
I think every episode is great. This one felt a lot more like a 3-episode arc. But like once again, I just like this could have been like a whole season of Clone Wars. Like
Or
you
at
know,
least a
but-
feature film or two.
yeah, just like Dooku like slowly becoming illusioned. Because the first
which
two
is why
episodes,
the books are good.
the first two episodes are obviously like two separate occasions in which he becomes, just disillusioned.
Yeah.
which I didn't like.
I think the first one was my favorite.
Yeah,
Young Qui-Gon, awesome.
so cool.
And that
Did
was
you-
Liam Neeson's son.
It was
Yes.
Liam Neeson's
Yep.
son. Yes.
Yeah. Did you notice that in both cases, I'm going to assume that we know what that first world was all about, that they probably were separatists, and we definitely know the second planet they went to as a separatist because it was
Raxus.
Raxus, yeah, where we had been before in the Bad Batch, and they were all
Raxus is
separate.
the capital of the Confederacy.
Capital.
so-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So ultimately, it was. I like the tie in there that it was like that was also a big draw towards Dooku's perspective on people, how they were being treated, stuff like that, and how the Republic was not refusing, but not looking hard enough to do something about these people to help them out.
Yeah, that's why I liked the first
I-
one a lot, because I thought
Yeah.
it was a lot more subtle
Mhm.
in what it has
Yes.
to say, like more like a chapter of a book.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one I thought was far too on the nose and like, oh, here's the same thing again that Dooku just did, but again later. So
No, but for me, it really drove his character he keeps on getting stuck in these situations where he's seeing this, and so it ultimately leads to his downfall and heading.
wow,
towards
look
the
who it
dark
is!
side.
Look who
Yeah,
it is.
sorry.
It's Johnny.
What was
Johnny
that big
Cage.
noise, man? The 2-ton?
2-ton. 2-ton. Loved
2-ton
that.
was awesome.
See, that was a
Love me some
great-
2-ton.
That was a great. See, that's why I like the first one. The ambiance of the first one, like it had some of those just Star Wars things that felt like where it was like a medieval village, but with a droid out
What-
front of the tavern, and like there's 2-ton
Yeah.
walking around in the like
Planet's
that stuff.
giving me
Love
Two
that.
tongue, I love two
vibes.
tongue.
Give me
Mhm,
Corvus
mhm.
vibes.
Yeah, Brent was
Me
saying
too.
that too. And then even down to the guns, the blasters that the Senate guards were using were very clearly it's a gun from World War II that they designed that, and I love stuff like that because they do it in
Yeah.
Andor too, where it made it feel real Star Warsy. Where I don't know. Okay, so Johnny, we're talking about Dooku now, but we've covered
Yeah.
we've covered all the Ahsoka eps. But what's your thoughts?
Okay, good. I watched those too.
Good.
I
I hope
love
so.
them. I actually did really like them. But I mean, obviously the middle one was the best one. I think the actual Clone Wars one.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty
Yep.
good. Not too bad.
Three
Not too
against
bad
two.
of an episode.
Yeah. So you liked Resolve?
That's the
That's the
first one.
No, the
Last one.
one.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, like, so I know the beats of so I started reading the Ahsoka novel, and I know the beats of it. So it seems just like a much, very, very dumbed down version, essentially, of what that book is, from what I understand. So, yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't know. I liked it. I mean, the watching it, the Ahsoka being at Anakin's funeral wasn't as bad, but
Padme's, yeah.
No, that's the best. That was
or
the best
Padme,
part.
excuse me. What did I say? Anakin, excuse me.
That's the best part of the whole
Padme.
show for me. That whole sequence.
That
was the
moment?
best part, yeah.
That's part of the whole show.
Yeah.
That episode sucked though. I did not like it.
You didn't like it?
No, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I thought it
gonna,
was fine.
I'm not gonna get into a rant about it.
I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna hate on it, but I thought it was fine.
I'm gonna hate on it. I did hate on it. I did hate on
Fair
it.
enough. Fair enough.
But we're talking about Dooku now. Which
Um,
I did
Yeah,
like.
Dooku mode.
Dooku. Pretty good. What else about Ahsoka? I mean, we already saw the first episode at Celebration, and I watched it again. Yeah, it's a good app. I like it. Good app. And then yeah, the middle one shines though. Middle one's the
Yeah,
best one.
this was like one of my favorite shots of the whole show.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
waiting
too.
We're in the Y wing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I love the
Animated
little epilogue to to Clone Wars here with
Mhm.
with those scenes. It was really cool. So
It
no,
just
I enjoyed it.
I would love to tack them on to the end of Siege of Mandalore.
Yes.
Yeah, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I pictured it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
absolutely.
wearing the outfit.
It's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, get me
Yep.
Corey, get me that hot toy in the mail so I can put it.
Yes,
put it
sir.
on
On
myself.
the way. On the way.
Oh!
There you go. Nice.
Get my
Hot
Ahsoka on
toys.
myself. No, literally, I was watching it. I went. The one good thing about this is that I
Is that I'm
want
getting
that.
that.
Clone. I want that. Clone. I'm very happy now. But yeah, do the Dooku stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just Johnny. I was just saying. Brent and I were discussing how I liked the first one. We haven't talked about the third one at all yet. We'll say I think that one's different enough to where we can talk about that one separately. But I liked the
Mhm.
first one a lot, but thought the second one was just sort of like it was too much of the exact same
It
thing.
was kind of the same thing. Yeah, I thought that too.
And I was like, I
Because
don't
like even no, that's actually funny because the first shot is literally just like kind of a reverse of the first shot of the first episode with
shuttle,
the shuttle flying in, and I was like, because in the first episode they're going this way. No, so, well, sorry, I'm flipped, but they're going this way in the first episode, and the second episode they're going this way past screen. So I was like, wait, is this the same episode? What? And then obviously it wasn't, but yeah, I like seeing Dooku and Mace together. That was like honestly probably the best part I'd say of the episode is that dynamic, which I really liked. Yeah, Mace is still kind of like a stuck-up guy even back then, which I think is funny. But yeah, I thought it was solid. Yeah, I mean, I if I had to choose, yeah, the first episode I liked a lot more. And I do agree that there are definitely similarities with even just kind of how those two episodes are structured. I think. I don't think it's a bad thing. I thought it was.
So the first episode felt very much because one of my biggest fears going into the show was the retcons and the retcons. And the retcons
episode
definitely
3?
panned out. It definitely panned out in the case of Ahsoka. But in terms of Dooku, I was talking with Ben about it earlier. They actually left it vague enough to where nothing is technically retcon, and you can most of it actually still works. However, like the first episode felt just like one of the interludes in Master and Apprentice when you're watching Qui-Gon and young Dooku, and Dooku has a moment during a mission where where he shoots like one of my favorites when he first shoots Force lightning out of his hands.
Yes.
Like he snaps on a Mission like that. It felt very the same to that, and I was like, okay, that fits in fine.
Same
Love
effect.
that first episode. Similar effect. Whereas the second one felt more like a Clone Wars episode in its structure, where not like a chapter of a book, but like and here we are doing the mission, and then the mission is resolved.
Right. I get that,
but it was the same exact theme as the previous thing. And as like the books,
it was like Dooku takes it too far.
It was the same thing with Ahsoka, where in a novel you can drag out a concept and his his inner thoughts so much better than these shorts, whereas I think 1 and 3 were able to do it pretty well, but 2 just felt like so much of a redundancy to me that I thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah,
this part of episode 3 was just seeing Mace and Dooku like an action.
I think it was to push that dynamic and also
cool,
just like kind of pushes like further frustrations with the council.
Just like
I think
the action
Windu is.
I
think Windu is like the embodiment of that, though. Of like why he doesn't like the order,
but
though.
The actual reason as to why.
But I agree. Yes, thematically,
as referenced in the third one of these with Sifo Dyas and what he did to Sifo Dyas, and as seen in the Plagueis novel, is way more interesting than he talks to a guy on the Separatist planet who's like, the Republic is bad, and Dooku's like, maybe so. It's like, I don't know, man.
I mean, it was a repeat of the first one. You're right, Ben. Yeah.
That's where that missing context comes from. I think there's obviously a lot more that happens with Dooku to make him
in between
go that way.
Oh yeah,
they would cut and there'd be time jumps and like stuff has happened here and they referenced it in the one with in the Sith Lord where he's talking about what he did with the clones and Sifo Dyas, and they they talk about that in the Lost Ones too in season 6 of Clone Wars. I'm like, I would have loved to have seen that as the second short. I want to see how he betrays his best friend Sifo Dyas for this cause. Because these.
I agree. That would have been a much more interesting.
I think it would have been way better. Like I
just want to see Sifo Dyas too.
Yeah.
Thing, but
it's kind of
just in general.
They keep establishing really, really cool building blocks around it to make it make sense, and then
maybe you'll do it one day.
And they won't show What happens?
Maybe one day.
Well, again, that's what I feel like. It's like this is just a little tester to see what bites for them at Lucasfilm and what they could focus on a story specifically. Because if they're going to do an animated feature or animated series based around younger Dooku, then people are going to be talking about it from this. And even if it's kind of like not exactly, or it's changed a little bit, or this or whatever, it's still just that. It's a taster. It's a taster test to see what is going to be provocative with an audience. There's one thing I did notice that completely like connected me to Attack of the Clones. There's one line where Dooku's talking with Obi-Wan, who's captured, and he kind of like has this moment about his pondering over Qui-Gon Jinn and wishing he was still alive. And always when I watched that scene, I couldn't tell whether Christopher Lee was saying it in the way of, I'm just trying to do this to, seduce you towards the dark side, Obi-Wan, or whether he really genuinely cared for Qui-Gon Jinn. And this episode, or the third episode, when he's talking about that moment, when he's there at the tree with Yaddle, solidified for me how important Qui-Gon was to Dooku and how much of a connection he really had. And that Dooku very well could have become and could have turned or could have been convinced otherwise. And that's why we got the radicalness from Qui-Gon a lot more against the Jedi Council. And that all played into it too nicely.
So now,
also, I gotta say, oh, go ahead, Levi.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna go on a rant, so you go say.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think the Kiners absolutely killed it in the episode. Like,
everyone, I want the soundtrack now.
It's so tremendously good. Like
really good.
honestly, this is jumping forward a bit, but the music they use for Palpatine is so great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we have got that in Code Kenobi?
Well,
it was
my favorite episode 4 part is when Dooku first flies out to the works and Yaddle is following him. It's something like Blade Runner. It had those like low like
it's from Clone Wars season 7.
Yeah.
Yes, the season 7 synths from season Mandalorian.
It's
so
just,
good.
Yeah, it was the same, right?
I think
it was very similar.
It was slightly different. No,
it was slightly different, but it was very similar.
Can I also say hearing Corey Burton again as Dooku, goated.
Yeah,
he's so good,
Absolutely.
so good.
So yeah, we're shifting into the 4th episode.
Let's just do it.
So this was the one I was most afraid about.
Nervous about,
Yes, because we had leaks beforehand that Dooku would be at the temple the day Anakin was there, which all of this panned out, and with Yaddle and however. So there is enough in the episode because the previous reason why I was so nervous about it is in canon, Dooku leaves the Jedi Order 10 years before Attack of the Clones, and Phantom Menace, excuse me. And I was really nervous that they would make him like in the Jedi and he would leave after this point. However, it has been established in canon not only that Dooku would constantly be at the temple still, but there are a couple things that they reference that make it seem like he's already left, like the fact that he hasn't met Obi-Wan. He hasn't met Obi-Wan, which makes it seem like he isn't there. He has to use Sifo Dyas's code to get in. He doesn't have his own code anymore. Because in the novels and stuff, they still call him Master Dooku even after he's left the Order, and they let him keep his lightsaber and stuff. So I think on that front, it's fine. Like he doesn't seem like he's in. Like you can read that episode and assume he's left by that point. Like he hasn't met Obi-Wan, all that stuff. So I was like fine with it. And so then. The rest of it is like I don't know how I don't want him to like look at Anakin or anything or be like or how they gonna address the Maul of it all, because obviously Maul kills his former apprentice and then he becomes Sidious's
they did bring up
and with Ian McDiarmid's deliverance, delivering it as Palpatine, that helped me too because it's Ian McDiarmid. He sounds fucking awesome.
Perfect.
Like there's a lot clearly, like instead of addressing it all and doing what they did with the Ahsoka episode, resolve and condensing it all, they still remained a mystery where clearly there's been stuff going on with Palpatine and Dooku beforehand, and they just left it vague, so it doesn't actually contradict much because Palpatine's like, we've already done all this other stuff that we're just not going to show on the screen.
So you liked it?
I did, because it was like you could you could read it as like that's the thing.
I gotta stress everybody. Levi was like, this was like the number one thing. And Levi was like, I don't know. He came into the show being like, this show's probably gonna be bad. I'm probably gonna hate it. etc., etc.
I don't think
About this specific stuff.
I don't think the show was nearly as good as it could have been or should have.
I agree.
I think the show was just like good. It was,
it was solid though.
It was
solid.
Well, like I said, my biggest like F4 issue, I thought Bryce Dallas Seattle was whack.
I didn't like it either.
I didn't
like it either.
I've seen
I did not like Bryce Seattle.
It didn't bother me, but it answers the question: is Yoda really just messing with people?
It just sounds like Bryce Dallas. And then is Yoda?
Well,
just
we've
like
known
a
that
freak?
for a while.
Does Yoda?
Yaddle,
that's
Yaddle and all the novels talk
not so much on Yaddle.
Okay, but that like
Yeah.
it's a little different. Like she just
So,
talks normal.
that's the other thing.
Why does Yoda just
that's the other
talk
thing,
like that?
that this episode was weirdly respectful to canon in the sense that Yaddle talked normally, which has been established in books for years, and the fact that she has that line where she's like, "I left the council," which is what the explanation was in like that's been in reference books forever, that she leaves the council right after Qui-Gon dies because she disagrees, and that's why she's not in it in Attack of the Clones.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so like technically that is true, like because she says that. And I was like, this episode is weirdly respectful to pre-existing canon.
It was a crazy person.
And so I don't know, I like that. Essentially, Dave Filoni, because he was asked about this, why Yaddle talks the way she does. He said that Frank Oz once told him that Yoda only talks the way he does because he's honoring the way his master spoke, Yoda's master. Which is someone we don't know, obviously. Yoda's like 900, so this would have been ages ago.
Makes sense. Okay.
And that's something that Frank Oz told Dave once, and he rolled with it.
I've never heard that, actually. That's kind of fascinating.
Whatever. It's goofy as hell to me. I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
It's also this Bryce, and it's like weird.
No, it's weird. That's the bigger. It's just like it just sounds like Bryce. Oh,
I was like, no, I wasn't taken out of it because of it, but I was like,
I wasn't taken out of it, but
I was
a little taken out of it.
That episode is a 10 out of 10. Like the Sith
Lord. You like the 10 out of 10 episode?
10 out of 10. Like I think the 10 out of 10s are.
It was really good.
The baby Ahsoka and Practice Makes Perfect. Those 10 out of 10. Love them.
Yeah.
Love them.
Yeah. They're definitely the highlights, so I would agree.
Also, like Palpatine, freaking sick.
Palpatine was really good in that
But the thing is,
that was particularly good.
He did his Palpatine voice and not his Emperor voice. You could hear there's a tonal difference slightly.
I just love how casual he is. Like, you know, Dooku's going off about Qui-Gon, and he goes,
Yeah.
Like, I just smashed a glass. Like once again, and I said this before the stream started. I don't know if the intention of this episode was that. Like, I don't know if it was made with the intent of respecting canon, but because they were so vague, it does. But like at the end, when Dooku is like calls him my master and he calls him his apprentice, like you could hypothetically read that as the first time that happens. I'm not going to choose not to do that because to me it makes way more sense if he's already in league with Palpatine, which they referenced him being way before.
It totally makes sense.
But like I bet like you could also see it as like that's the moment where he turns and he leaves the Jedi Order. But I don't view that at all.
He obviously in his mind had left the Order at that point.
A long time ago. Yeah, obviously
because he's been he did all this stuff, but he shows regret about it, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, he does.
I always sort of picture Dooku as like, he's going to do all these bad things, but in his mind, it's justified. He's doing the right thing, so he doesn't feel remorse. But obviously, he feels bad about what he's done.
But at the end of the day, I mean, Dooku is definitely following what he believes is right for the people who are suffering. I mean, we never, Dooku for me was always this slightly two-dimensional villain in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
We never quite understood. He just was part of the separatist movement, and
this is clearly a man who's never read the Revenge of the Sith novelization.
I know that's what I'm going to say. Is that like novels and stuff comics have helped it because everything that he's thinking in that duel versus Anakin Revenge is so amazing.
But for those who haven't read the books or the comics, this helps.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
See,
but this does add to those
No,
seeds of that, and I'm even more invested in wanting to learn more about Dooku's earlier story now more than ever before.
I think there's more to tell too.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Good take.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dark Disciple is going to happen at some point.
I hope
so. I hope they do a season 2 and Dark Disciples in there because I think
I guess season 8. I don't
it's necessary. Or Clone Wars season 8. Whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Just do it.
Give me a Tales of the Sith with like young Palp, maybe Pelagus.
Oh,
That would be freaking dope.
Like a mall,
Tales of the
That-
Sith,
a
bro.
mall training episode with Palpatine.
That-
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that was the big thing. I mean, Dave
like
Filoni
sound of
said
that.
Yeah, Filoni said it's a celebration. He said this was a one-off thing. I got the impression it was a one-off thing. They're not going to do any more, is what he said.
Mm.
But I feel
I
like
think they just keep our expectations.
No.
low.
Well, yeah, obviously they can do a season 2 if they decide they want to. I think this is still a testing the grounds to
Yeah.
continuing back into this time period to do more animation stories. And I'm hoping it is.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it is the development, the seed that is, I mean, look, this trailer when it came out the same day as the trailer for Mando season 3 or was it the second or third Andor trailer that dropped the same
Yep.
day. And the trailer for this series had more views than the other trailers before it. Than
That's
the other
true?
two. Yeah. Oh,
Tales
yeah.
was easily the most. It had more than
The
Mando
most
and
viewed.
Andor.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
And
We'll
he-
see
I
how
don't know.
they had this
That's
before.
what-
Obviously,
that's
they,
I mean, there's an audience clearly.
obviously
Yeah.
money talks with Disney, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And-
I want
However-
Tales of the Sith, but I just
However-
like
Tales of the Sith sounds sick.
One of my final and biggest gripes with the show, and why I am so disappointed with it, and why it's ultimately like
Uh-huh.
You're
That's
overall
good.
very disappointed.
I am.
I-
is that
yeah, I'm
if-
disappointed too.
If you watch the
Yeah.
trailer for the show,
Oh
the 2-minute trailer, if you watch the 2-minute trailer for the show, it's the whole show. I gained nothing new
It's
about having seen the episodes in full. I really feel
it's
like
heavy
those
in the.
trailers-
It's heavy with
those
what it
trailers-
shows.
this is
showed
why I'm
everything.
disappointed because
They showed the whole
I-
thing.
yeah.
it's
that's how, like,
it's good
ugh.
Star Wars content. Like animation's great,
Yeah,
music's
I
fantastic.
don't know if disappointed
It's
is
all good.
the
But
right.
I'm
I mean,
disappointed
for
in
me,
the sense that I think these stories could have been told in such a more interesting way.
I mean, for me, Johnny, this is like a 7.5 or an
It's good
8
to
when the
wait.
whole show could have been a 9 or a 10.
Exactly. Like
It's like-
post Revenge,
Okay.
Ahsoka, like
there's things that bring it down.
that
Absolutely.
should be incredible.
I get it.
That should be mind blowing Star Wars. Like I think Siege of Mandalore is, and I don't think it was. I wasn't.
Yeah, but I
was
think, like,
frustrated the whole time.
Not that I think this is the intention, but like if you slap that on the end of like season 7, I think it'll work a lot better. Like I don't know how to like. That's the best way I can
Yeah.
say it.
No,
No,
but
I feel like
And that's how I think these
I'm just
episodes
gonna
work.
reiterate my argument from earlier, Johnny. See if this makes sense to you. This is the biggest part of Ahsoka's like arc, like between Clone Wars and Rebels. Like at
Yeah,
what
but-
point does
yeah.
she become like not interested in being a soldier anymore to becoming a rebel
Yeah.
agent? Like
Yeah.
in the book, it takes place well over a year. There's so many different factors. Look at this episode. What happens in this show that makes her want to be a soldier again? Like the
Yeah, that's kind of
motivations
sad.
are awful. The only thing that happens is
Uh,
an Inquisitor shows up and destroys a village because she's a Jedi.
Yeah.
If anything, that should make her not want to be a Jedi or just
Further go into hiding.
anymore. Yeah, exactly. So like that's it. Like, I don't know. That's what bothers me. I just think
I hear that. No, I that point
That's
I
why I
get.
say it's disappointing. I had really high hopes for the show, and the Dooku stuff absolutely met expectations. I thought it was great, but yeah, that
Yeah,
Ahsoka
I
episode
like
at
it
the
too.
end really.
I mean, the Ahsoka, but you gotta think about like the Ahsoka stuff just bounced around so much. Like it wasn't as obviously as connected as what the Dooku
No,
stuff.
Yeah, the
but
whole
no,
show
no,
wasn't
no.
focused.
Episode 1 and 5 were 10 out of 10s. Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
just it's really just resolved.
The
It's-
last
it's-
one,
It's making
yeah.
it's disappointing me right now. And Corey had this great take earlier. You can say it if you want. How you thought it should have been structured with like
Oh yeah, no, I was telling them earlier that I think it should have been like the Baby Ahsoka episode,
Yeah.
the first one, and then where Plo Koon takes Ahsoka to the temple, that whole story, and then the third.
But remember he brought that up too.
I
He
know,
brought
it's-
that celebration.
It exists.
And he's like, yeah,
Exactly, and then the
Yeah.
third episode would be the Clone Wars one plus the Padme funeral and all that tacked on that
Yeah.
at the end of that one, and then you would.
nah, I like that much better.
Yeah, it's just
I wanted a Plo Koon ep though, dude. Oh my god, that would have been so
Yeah.
sick.
I know exactly. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't think you should have told the
And for me-
story of Ahsoka.
And for me, the middle
it's not
Dooku ep
meeting.
should have been him and Sifo Dyas on the mission to
Absolutely.
open the.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
I agree there.
This
Yeah,
is why
I agree
say
with that.
It's still yeah. It's
I
still
feel more
an
strongly about the Dooku stuff.
It's still an 8.5 out of 10 show for me.
I
So
take Brent
in-
agrees.
I would say
I want-
Remaker Adventures,
Brent loves
Resistance, guys. Come on now.
No,
Nostalgia round too.
I was
Yeah.
gonna.
I did that. Oops.
Anyway, I was
Isn't
going
that-
to say in the
Residence.
differences then of short stories. We all watched Visions, obviously, and comparing the story arcs
Ooh,
within Visions, they're
that's a
much
good question.
stronger. They're
Yeah.
much
Do you like
stronger
Visions or
than-
Tales better?
Tails all the way. God.
That's an unfair comparison. Because these are like
Yeah, because it's tough. Because it's a legacy character.
I would
or
say
not
though,
legacy.
as a straight up episode,
Want more
the
attachment
Ninth
to them.
Jedi is better.
Yeah, I'd
than-
probably take
Noted.
I'd probably take
Noted.
Visions.
Yeah, there's some
I would
there's some real good Vision stuff in there.
see. There's some good, strong Visions writing. So the question is, should they be investing in taking some of the writers from Visions and bringing them to the canon
No.
stuff?
No.
No,
Keep them totally separate.
That's
the
what I
thing
think.
is, I'm satisfied with what Dave did. It's just like I wish he did, like we were bringing up, like another story instead of the one that he chose. Like for instance, the
I just wanted to throw
Really
it out
just
there.
resolved
That story with Sifo Dyas.
Yeah.
Like,
No, but I get the point. I mean,
I think
maybe
episode
for
5
something.
is exactly what the whole show should have been. Where it's like
Right.
5, it's a perfect short where it plays into existing canon.
Yeah.
It doesn't like overplay it. It's just like it's this fun little tidbit like training sequence
Right.
with all
right.
these callbacks. Like, it's a great
Also-
short.
Also,
Resolve is not a
the
good
Obi-Wan
short.
mullet.
Why?
Love
But-
Obi-Wan
but
mullet.
why does he have it?
But why does he have it?
What?
I just like
It's in between, right? What do you mean?
No,
Why are you asking why?
That's the
Ahsoka's
Attack of the
around.
Clones, but he doesn't
Yeah,
have it in the
how would
Clone
he have
Wars
the attack of the? How would he have the Attack of the Clones mullet?
Johnny's trying to figure it
Johnny's
out.
brain.
Wait, did they mess up the timeline, or am I just
No,
not?
they messed.
No, they messed it up. How would he have the
must
Attack
have
of the Clones
grown out the mullet. Like,
during
in
the
I'm
Clone
between
Wars?
Clone
sure
Wars
they didn't
episodes
mess
and
it
cut
up. I'm
again.
sure
They did mess it up.
They
Brett.
did
They
mess
did.
it
Wait, wait. Is this when is it? When is this episode?
Johnny,
Season
Did I miss something?
Johnny, think about it. Ahsoka is there. Anakin is there. It's the Clone Wars.
It's the
How would
Clone
he
Wars.
have the Attack of the Clones?
Oh wait, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's like a year. It's like a few years in. Oh wait, why does he have a mullet?
You know, next time we get the chance,
That's
to talk
actually
about
hilarious.
the
That's
celebration,
hilarious.
I'm
Funny.
gonna
Glad he had
ask
a
you
mullet.
that.
Why does he have a mullet? And why does Anakin have like shorter hair than?
I know. It's funny. It's weird.
Wait. There has to be an explanation for that.
There isn't.
Ain't no way.
There isn't.
Ain't no way.
Everyone grew the mullet.
I'll be-
in between.
I'll
But
be
then
honest.
Anakin shortened his hair too.
I know.
No.
I'll be completely transparent. That does not decrease my enjoyment of the episode.
No.
No, that's a
It is
funny thing actually.
because it's
Yeah.
all wrong.
Wait, what the hell? I didn't even realize that.
Whoa.
I agree that the
Whoa.
duel is goated. The duel is awesome.
Yes, it is, but
The duel is great, but Ninth Jedi is wonderful.
Yeah, you could have just said episode.
Love mullet Obi-Wan. Irregardless, I love mullet Obi-Wan, even though it's not.
I do too.
doesn't-
No, it's silly that he has it. I'm glad.
I know. That didn't even dawn on me until right now.
Yeah, I thought it was
That's pretty funny.
Anakin looked,
Yeah.
because Anakin in like the season 4 look had shorter hair too, and I was like,
Shorter hair.
his hair is like going up and down and all over the place. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. The Obi-Wan part is funnier because you just grew a mullet for an episode and cut it after.
What's funny is
Anyways.
the mullet design, I actually like that would have been cool if that's what it was for like a few seasons.
Yeah.
It
Wars
should have
and then,
been. Yeah, I wish
It should have been. I agree. It should have been.
I feel like that was almost a little bit of
a retcon.
Dave saying like, "This is what
He
I
really would.
wanted it to look like.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what
yeah.
it would have looked like had we used today's animation." That's what I think that was more than like.
Yeah.
I don't think Dave intentionally was like, "Let me mess up the timeline here." I think it was very much.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is what we always wanted it to look like.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right. It's just
Yeah.
funny.
It is funny. No, it's hilarious.
It's funny.
The minute that I saw the episode, I was like, or the minute we saw the trailer, I was like, "Is this a different timeline?" But he's got the clone armor. I don't know what's going on. Like, yeah.
Never hit me until now. I don't know why. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's
Either way. Something
still
to
love the
talk
look.
about.
Anyways. Also, loved Qui-Gon.
Oh yes,
in
yes.
the episode
Liam
season.
Neeson as Qui-Gon.
Really
Nelson.
good. And then also his
Ooh,
son
so
was
good.
really good in the first episode.
Yeah.
That character
Super
model
good.
for Qui-Gon was so good.
Look,
It looks good. Really good. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Liam's not coming back to Star Wars. He swears. He's
Yes,
not going to do
no,
it.
He's
No,
been in
I'll
Star
never-
Wars twice this year.
He'll never
Twice
do
as
it.
he swore.
Are they still making Star Wars?
Are they still doing it? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, what is
What's
Star Wars?
what is
What is
Star
that the
Wars?
thing I did? Yeah.
It's so funny. Those clips,
Rhymes with another hot take I don't agree with.
those clips are hilarious. They never like.
Andor. I haven't watched House of Dragon, but I mean Andor's a top Star Wars show. So
All right,
I don't know how-
Corey, get out of here so we can
I'm
talk
out,
about
yeah.
Andor.
No, enjoy your Andor,
Oh.
whatever.
No.
Have fun.
Okay.
Overall, though,
enjoyed
Corey,
hearing
before you
It,
go,
it was a
what-
good episode, Corey. Though.
What would you give Tales of the Jedi? How would you feel about it? Like on the scale, however you want to rank it. How does it land for you?
that. I think 8.5 out of 10. I think
I would agree with that.
I give it that rating because I just feel like I'm just grateful we even have any more Clone Wars content. Like it was so bleak for so long when the show was canceled, and the fact that we have
Dark times.
big time. We have the Bad Batch. We have this. Like it feels like it's coming back in full force, and I really hope this isn't it for this era because there's.
I hope the show does well. I don't know how it's been doing. I mean,
I'm
obviously,
just gonna
it's
keep
just been like a
streaming the
day
show
too
like
much,
in the
but-
background, so it does
Yeah.
really well. So they
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah,
Also, hot take, real quick before I leave. I've been watching Clone Wars through and through, like the entire series right now, just for fun. There needs to be a couple more clone arcs, y'all. We need some waxer.
I agree.
Like
Mhm.
closure.
I agree.
we need
Yeah.
more
Good
wax
take.
on Boyle.
Yeah.
Like, I want it. Tales of the Clones. When's that
Tales
coming?
of the
Bye,
Clones.
guys.
Those are clones.
Bye.
There you go.
They should make a
Sick
movie
clone.
called Attack of the Clones.
Y'all
There
gonna
you
be
go.
mad at me? Y'all gonna be mad at me? Didn't have time to watch Andor either.
All right, bye, Johnny.
No.
So I'll pop out. I'll come back. I'll
Right.
pop out. I'll come back.
Why?
Maybe we could bring some people in at the end of this.
If you want to bring people in, I'll come back for that.
You haven't seen it either.
That's crazy.
No
Johnny.
time.
He's
I
a
haven't had
busy
time.
boy. What can we say? He's.
I haven't had
he's a
time.
busy cult-
I wish.
the
I
cult-
just finished Tales, so I was late. But Tales for me, I would agree with the 8.5. I think it's a solid. It's a solid show. Solid show. Didn't exceed my expectations by any means. Like, I think I met it pretty good. Go sit in the fine. I will. I'm literally in the corner actually. So,
I
fun-
see Ashley. I see Ashley right there.
yeah. If you
I see
want
Ashley in the corner.
to, I'll do a little show and tell. This is me and my brother, and then Matt and Ashley.
Nice.
And there's me and Gibbs the hater.
Nice.
You look at the Giancarlo though.
And Giancarlo. We gotta get that. I don't have the photo you do. Anyways, we gotta get them printed. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a solid show. I want more. If anything, this show has left me wanting more.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I think. it
maybe
was
not
set
just
up to
like
be.
Dooku and Ahsoka stories. Like I
Yeah.
want more expansive
Yeah.
stuff. Tales of the Sith sounds sick. That's a good pitch, man. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm glad they did it. I think it was good. So
I did. I watched
Yeah.
Andor before Tales.
you did? You watched Andor before?
I watched the
Oh,
Ahsoka
I
episode
watched.
Andor, then
I watched.
Dooku.
I watched Tales first. Andor I had to watch today.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I watched it.
I watched it all today, except for Ahsoka.
Fair.
All right.
Go sit in-
See you,
Okay.
Johnny. Go
All
sit
right.
in the
Well,
corner.
guys, I will. I'm gonna go sit in the corner. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Oh wait. Oh my God. I almost ended the broadcast, and that would have been bad. Okay. Bye, guys.
There's two of you. Why are there two of you? Do you see
That's
that there are two
funny.
Johnnies in
That's funny.
StreamYard right now?
Yeah, I see that too.
That's funny.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
Whatever.
get that. What
Levi
a
just froze
bozo.
up.
Haven't seen Andor. Narkina 5, baby. Let's talk.
Uh-huh.
Let's.
Bozo.
What a great episode. Come on.
Yeah.
Now that is
This
an
is my
episode of
favorite to date.
television.
Yeah, this is my favorite to date so far of the episodes. of
Yeah,
Andor. And I've loved every one of them. Don't get me wrong, but this was
I still
my
think the
favorite.
last episode is my favorite, but this
Really?
Every episode of
Probably
Andor though
still
cements it as just like with House of the Dragon. Every
Yeah.
episode continues to if it continues at this rate, it's just like the best Star Wars show easily. I mean,
Right.
like the best Star Wars thing. Since
best world building.
Yeah.
Sure.
it's
that
so
episode.
good.
Yeah.
It's nearly perfect.
Yeah.
I
Levi,
really-
you're
I can't-
breaking
Yeah,
up a
we're
little bit.
losing you a little bit, bud.
Yeah.
Johnny passes off the bad.
Yeah,
internet.
that's it. Yeah, Johnny leaves and passes off the bad link.
Dang, it's tough.
Well, we have two Johnnies in the StreamYard right now.
Oh, really? That could be a reason why.
Sorry.
Just while Levi's trying to set up there, I mean, I'd give Tales of the Jedi a 8.5 as well. Actually,
Sure, I'll just wrap it
That's
up.
fine.
Yeah, I think 8.5 is where I'm at too. It's
Yeah.
funny because I think
Yeah.
like Corey, I was like, I'm disappointed with it, and Corey's like, what? And then he gives it an 8.5, and I give it an 8.5. Like,
yeah, no, it was an 8.5. It was,
it's really
you know,
just
there were-
resolved.
There were definitely things that could
have.
have. Yeah. No, I totally understand. I mean, but it was a love letter to the Clone Wars. But at the same time, I'm also hoping that, I mean, they're going to be looking at the ratings. They're going to be seeing who's watched it in the first 24 hours and see whether it, does it beat out Andor in the first 24 hours? Does it beat out other views of other shows in the first 24 hours? And does that warrant Disney and Lucasfilm to go, you know what, maybe we really should be taking this a lot more seriously, because it seems like the animation stuff they've not been taking, you know, as serious as they could be. You know, everything from the Bad Batch being pushed back, 3 times now or something like that, from different dates and all that.
Just we're on that, like, I'm going to dog on Lucasfilms a little bit. This is actually the first time we've had 2 Star Wars shows in the night. Like,
that was
exhausting. It finally has happened.
Yeah.
Like, I've been talking about this for like
a
couple of years now, I think.
Yeah.
And he'll be back.
He'll be back.
What, like, and there wasn't a good reason for it. It's one thing is if there's too many shows, like, they'll have to overlap, like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
That is not the case. There, to me, is no reason that Tales of Jedi shouldn't have been a, like, December, like, 17th release.
Oh, correct. Yeah,
I think this would have
or
been
even a Friday
Christmas
night release, or even a Friday night, a different day.
Yeah,
in the week. But December is right.
November, and we have to wait till January, right?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty typical waiting period between shows. Even a bit shorter than usual, but like,
it would have been perfect.
Why not stick?
But
Tales
December would have been perfect. Yeah,
and Star Wars, you know, with the sequels, I had that like Christmas thing going on. It's a weird take, but like, I would probably have liked Tales better if this came out right on Christmas time. I don't know, something about it. Nice little Christmas present.
Am I here?
You're still slow, but
But I was fine before?
You were completely fine until Johnny.
They knew how much you wanted to talk about Andor.
I know, it sucks.
You're getting jammed.
Can you switch over to your video, the phone?
I suppose I can switch to my phone.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I can switch to my phone, guys. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I want to talk Andor with you. We'll keep dogging on Lucasfilms.
You can dog on Lucasfilm. I'm never going to dog on them. But it's like,
come on,
there is.
What is the point of them releasing this right now? Like, seriously, why divide the fan base? Like, last night, whether you're a Tales fan, whether you're an Andor fan, whatever one you preferred, like,
whatever you watch.
Like, you had to make a choice. You want to make a
totally.
choice with Star Wars. You want to?
No.
I want it to be 3 a.m. or midnight, and I want to tune in to whatever's out.
Yeah.
So,
again, I didn't watch. I made a choice to watch Andor later in the day, even though I've been really enjoying everything that's been going on. It's just that I did need an Andor break for what I sat up at midnight to watch. And the hype for me behind the Clone Wars and the animation stuff is just so intense for me that I just needed to see this before I watched the Andor episode.
Well, I last night I just watched the last 2 Ahsoka episodes and I went to bed because it was super late.
Right.
But I agree, like, because as much as I love Andor, like, every episode doesn't seem like pressing to watch. Where it's like, you gotta watch. You gotta watch.
That's it.
Like, you know, it's Anakin, it's Ahsoka, like, it's Mace, it's Dooku. Like you gotta see what's going on with him. Like, Andor, it's like, you know, I could wait a few days to watch Andor, and I mean, not that I'm not excited to watch it, but it's like, something huge.
That's the difference between, you know, something that is pure character based like Andor and something that is light character, but more. Hey, there we go.
I'm in.
But more, you know, hero based and stuff like that. You know, when you're talking about like. They're not making anyone out to be superheroes or you know, crazily over the top, you know, villains or anything like that in this series. They are people in a bad situation or, you know, a powerful situation that, you know, is different to what we normally see from Star Wars.
I guess for me, it's great. It's more
It's
just like the impact on the galaxy, and it's like, just, I don't know, it's the big stuff. But I mean, I'll just turn the episode a little bit. You know, when Saw shows up at the end, they don't give you this big, you know, like fanfare, all this big like pomp. Like, it's not this, like, I don't know. If this is another show, like,
it's just literally he's just there.
Like, he's like,
that's it.
You know, like, I don't know. It's just they just.
That's it.
He's there. Ethan's going to see him. Like, and that's all that it is.
Am I fine? Like, connection?
Yeah, you're
fine.
Still
okay.
Bit.
Yeah, you're good.
But
you're not so bad.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
No,
I
I
said maybe
lost my
switch to your data if you have data, but
Yeah, I switched to my data right now.
okay, yeah.
Turned off the Wi-Fi.
Seems okay from my end.
You guys were talking about when I left. Yeah, how it sucks that we got 2 on the same night.
Yeah. And for no reason.
Definitely should have been December. Definitely talking about that.
I need my Christmas Star Wars, man. Like, I wish there was a holiday special. This, like, even like a Lego. Like, I don't know. I wish there was something this Christmas.
Something.
I always watch New Hope on Christmas. I associate Star Wars with Christmas.
I mean, Marvel has settled the Christmas story.
I mean, Bad Batch could be there too. It's almost insulting that it's January 4th and not like just make it like 2 weeks early. It's not like the show isn't done.
I can understand when the holiday periods that people are away. They're not necessarily always going to be sitting at the TV.
Part 2.
Maybe, but either way.
Okay, now we can get an Andor. But,
yeah,
it's frustrating. It's just it's like why.
I was saying, I think when I started breaking up though, that every episode of Andor cements it as, in my opinion, probably one of the best pieces of Star Wars content, just period. And it has the same effect of House of the Dragon that it had on me, of where I am just more and more confident as the show goes on in its ability to, because I was saying it from the start, like, people were like, "Oh, how are these threads going to come together?" Now, like Daedra and Cyril are talking, like it's all going to come together.
And it's like it's consistency. Yeah. I think that's what makes a good show. There's not been a quality drop off, and now we're far enough in that there's not going to be.
Yeah.
I know we hear all the people because they released 8, 9, and 10 to the press, so there were reviews for 8, 9, and 10, and apparently they're the best. So 8 obviously did disappoint for me.
Yeah.
And it's just setting up something. I cannot wait for this Prison Break.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's going to be the full 3 episodes before they get to the prison break.
So the next episode's going to be them planning it. And
we'll be
planning it. It's so crazy how Andor's able to do this. Like Moroff and Two Tubes were in this episode, which are like a cameo thing, and Melshi, but it doesn't feel like
it doesn't feel forced.
It doesn't feel forced. Like seeing Melshi is such a cool thing. Because you're like, okay, this guy is in Rogue One. It's been established in all the visual dictionaries that he and Andor have been friends for a long time.
Right.
And the fact that they're like weirdly how Tony Gilroy or whoever is able to play into existing canon, and use it to craft a story that still doesn't even feel like it's not fan service in any way. Like we got more Yularen in this episode too, and it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like in Mando season 2 where some people they felt it was a drawback when certain characters showed up because it took away from Mando and Grogu, or in Boba like people were more focused on Black Krrsantan as this character from the comics is here, and whereas this is like I'm freaking out because like holy crap, that's Melshi. I love all of his stuff in Rogue One. He dies. He's one of the leaders of the Rogue One team. He's in that whole end of the movie. He's in the whole third act. But here he's just this guy, and he will do those things. But he's just a person in this universe, and it doesn't feel. I don't know. I just love that stuff.
Yeah. I felt not claustrophobic, but I felt the pressure on everyone's story. Everyone from Cyril's story to Andor being in the prison, and everything, like the walls are closing in even tighter. And I felt that as a viewer on this episode more so than even before. And I think this is the point of the story where they have got you not just hooked, but they want you to feel that claustrophobia of being locked in, whether it's Mon Mothma locked into the people around her and her surroundings. It came to this perfect moment for me in this episode that I've never felt more like I need to breathe. I'm really like tight-chested right now because I was feeling the anxiety of what these characters were feeling at the moments, and not just one or two of them, all of them at each the time we jump to a different place.
Do you know how sometimes when you're watching bad TV or a bad movie and you check, or not necessarily bad, but one you're not liking, and you check the time to be like, how much of this is left?
Yeah.
I do that with Andor to be like, how much is left because I don't want it to end. Like I did that multiple times.
I did that today. I was like, I looked at my clock and I'm like, I want to.
I was like, no, I
actively like, the episode's fly by.
Yeah,
but
I was looking. I was like 30 minutes in. I still
short.
got 30 minutes. Yes, I've got 30 more minutes.
Yeah,
to
that's
go.
what
This
I'm
is
gonna say
awesome.
about another. I'm gonna have a lot of compliments about the show.
Yeah.
I have two primed right now. One, consistent episode lengths. Like, tuning in every week, and it's like, it's like a 54, 55 minute episode. There's been a couple on the shorter end, but like, it's been very consistent, like past the first 3 episode release.
It's not 35 minutes long.
I know, and it's so good, and it's like, why isn't Mando like this? And
I
like, sometimes Mando's short, and it's still really good, but I want more. But it's less even just about wanting more, and more just like how a season of television unfolds, and it like, and I'll give the same praise to Rings of Power and House of Dragons, where they all are consistently. Rings of Power is like 70 minutes. House of Dragons is about an hour. Like, like every episode, it feels uniform. Like you sort of know what you're going to get in terms of a 60-minute, 3-act episode. And Andor has been great with that. And another compliment, I got primed for Andor. We were just talking about how like you're really feeling the walls like closing in. Yeah, this is like. Everything in this show is because of Andor. Everything that every character is going through is because of Andor. Yes. And when you have a show called Andor, that is exactly what you should strive to achieve.
And even if he's not like always on screen, he's not quote unquote the main character. Or
you had at least amount of dialogue in this episode.
You feel his presence in every moment because his actions are shaping up everything that happens in the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. That's a great observation that I haven't used myself in arguments that I will going forward, because I hear that so much of like, why did they make a show about him? Like all this other stuff is way more interesting, but you're absolutely right. Everything
everything that has happened, and just I loved. I'm gonna jump ahead. I don't think we're gonna break this down scene by scene. Talking to Luthen, and they're both like, it's like the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other. It's like, oh, you did this, right? And he's like, nah, like you did this though, right? Like it's hilarious, and it's like. Nah, Andor. Well, I mean, obviously, it was Luthen like arranged it, but it's like this is all coming back to the main character of the show. Like Andor is one who pulled this off. Like it wouldn't have happened without him.
Yeah, or in the prison when all the prisoners are like their sentences have all been tripled, doubled because of him, because of his actions. Yeah. And it's funny because when he says I haven't heard of it, it's possible he really didn't, because he was on vacation or whatever, and he didn't know.
No, he didn't. Yeah,
he's like, I'm just a tourist. Like,
and he's like, I did that. Well, that's gonna lead me into this is what I'm thinking about all day long. I love it when Star Wars has something to say, and
it's saying a lot.
It is saying so much. Like the commentary on fascism in this episode is mind blowing, and this is why it's such good Star Wars. Is that like, and basically, it's so smart in the way it's going about it, and it's just completely playing into what we know about fascism in our real world, which is that the oppressors love to distract you, and they want you to think that the opposition,
the flavored feeding tube.
The idea is they're giving them these small rewards so they don't hate the Empire, but really the big thing is, and you see this, it's working. Because all the prisoners are like, are the rebels? Like they slaughtered a garrison. Like it's our fault that we're here, and it's how fascist governments work. Is that they want you to hate the opposition to fascism more than the oppressors themselves, and it's just so flawless. Never has the Empire been so scary in that sense. Yeah, because they feel smart, or it's like they want the audience. They want the prisoners to be against the people who are fighting to free them. Yeah. And it's just, it's so well done. I was blown away. This episode actually had something to say, and it was executed flawlessly. And that is good television. Like outside of whether or not, like, it's like, there aren't Jedi, there aren't Sith, jumping around, there aren't lightsaber duels, like whatever. I like that part of Star Wars too. But if you're tuning in once a week for 60 minutes of like super smart like commentary on our world, and it fits within Star Wars and it's fun to watch. How is that not like a 10 out of 10 show for you? Yeah.
And this, on top of that, was the first time that I felt, because this is the testament to the writing of the show, that they're able to blend these characters, that I felt that Daedra was the bad guy. Like that scene where she like pretends to like like, what are you doing? Get him out of here. Like she tells him she's going to fake him out. Yeah. And they're still shocked by her. Like the officers are still, I think, legitimately shocked by her move there, her ruthlessness, and like the way that she's trying to just absolutely mentally torture Bix.
She's my new favorite villain. I mean, she's great.
It's just the way that they've established her over the past 7 episodes, because you want her to win against Blevin, against Partagast, against Yularen. You're rooting for her to get, because we know, quote unquote, that she's right and that everything she's fighting against. Yeah. But obviously she's fighting against these characters that we know. So now she's in charge of Ferrex, like putting you in that situation. Just in terms of from a writing standpoint, let alone like what it's trying to say, but the actual way it's constructed narratively is just so flawless. Like the whole thing is perfect. I don't know. I like
the conversation between Deidre and Cyril. I didn't expect that conversation to go down that way. I thought it was going to be a much more quicker connection, that they were going to get together and go forward. And I was surprised how dismissive she was to him in general. So, and we know they're ultimately going to be teaming up and stuff, we assume, down the track. But I felt this whole dismissal thing was like, wow, that was left field. I like that. I like being thrown from conversation where I think something's going to where it doesn't end up by going. We
haven't talked about it all, I don't think, but like Vel and Cinta in this episode too, like there isn't a single thread that feels left behind in the whole show.
No.
Also, I won't get too political here, but like, thank you, Star Wars, for actually showing us like a lesbian relationship or just gay relationship. That isn't like a forced. Like it's natural.
It does.
Like,
it does. It's natural. It does not feel
it's
forced.
So and it's it's like thank you for that. You know, like Boo, Truss, like Kiss. It's just like it's fine. But it's like
don't come at Darcy, my girl.
No, but no one knows those people besides you, Levi. And it's just it's like it's just like it's like Disney. Like, oh, look at these people. Like, you don't care about these characters. No, these are main characters. And their love story is just part of the show.
What it has
no
to
one's
say
gonna
about
bat
the
an eye at
politics,
it.
though, of the show. That Vel is clearly, she's not down. Like, she's seeing that the rebellion is not only getting in the way of her life, but I don't think she wants to kill Cassian. Like, I don't think she wants to do that. I don't think she wants to hunt down this guy in his like family home and then try and assassinate him. I don't think that's what she wants.
She just
to do.
wants to like.
Cinta,
I think she would run off with Cinta if like she.
Yeah, Cinta is like, I'm still in it. The Empire doesn't sleep. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, which ultimately is sort of the Saw Gerrera point of view, and that ultimately destroys him, and that will destroy the rebellion. And because ultimately it's Mon Mothma, this woman who is putting it together through trust with Tay Kolma, and like the way she's doing things. Like ultimately, she's the one who puts together the Rebel Alliance. She's the one who gets to be in charge because she is doing it the right way. She will end up doing it the right way.
Yes,
but we love to see like this dichotomy between of how like that speech that Saw goes on to, which I know you guys talked about before, but the fact that there's no fanfare to it. He just shows up because of course he would. But like his rant he goes on about all the different rebel factions and like these different fronts and how they're doing all these different things.
Yeah, that's the Pablo Hidalgo let's just get in there and just like sprinkle in all these like Star Wars.
And he says, but he says it's like such a good Saw thing. Where he says, but only I'm right. Only I have, what do you say, like the clarity of vision? Where I was like, oh, this is such a Saw moment. I love it. Like, this is Saw Gerrera.
I've been really critical of how much he shows up and everything. This might be one of my favorite appearances thus far.
Yeah.
Because Saw's a dope-ass character who says a lot about the wrong way to fight. Because he kills himself. He destroys himself trying to destroy the Empire.
Yeah.
Even though he's a good guy, he kills himself.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up Vel trying to kill Andor, and we got a little more insight in that today with Luthen talking to Clea.
Yeah.
So I still think it's a tad vague, but like it
is.
Seems like he did send her. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
It's vague, isn't it? I
still don't know if she knows or he knows that Clea met Vel and
wants to kill him.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also that
obviously
he wants
they're
to
trying
bring
to find
him back.
him. Exactly. Yeah, you know what? I don't think he knows still, but it was unclear.
Because he was still in favor of setting up the Ferrex system, and it was Clea who was like, shut it down. Like, don't even like begin to care about these people.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that, he's conflicted still. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I found that interesting.
I think Vel might be Luthen's daughter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I said that
because
in
there's that
my
line.
reaction.
There's that line where Cinta says, I'm not a rich
child.
kid, running away from her family.
Yeah.
Which
is exactly.
That's cold even for you. And I'm like, okay, I think Luthans are bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get the moment where Staw says, and I still don't know who you are, talking to Luthen, and Luthen just goes, I'm a coward, which I loved. I love that line, and then his whole he deflected, but I don't know. I think he is in it. I think it's his family too, and I think maybe Clea, because it also explains the dynamic between Clea and Vel too, where Vel's his actual daughter, but Clea is like wants to be his daughter sort of thing, like her real protege, his real protege. I'm like, oh man, there's just so many interesting things going on in the show.
I think that's where the path is going.
Yeah. It seems like Andor being in prison is actually saving his ass right now, because he's got the people off to try to kill him. He's got the Empire who's trying to find him, but the thing is that you look at this in a reverse thing. The Empire trying to find him, they've already got him, and it just shows you how politics goes to work when it's that big of a system, and the fact that he's buried in their system already makes it brilliant that this is how dysfunctional the Empire still is to a certain degree, that they can't find the one person who they've already got in prison. And I think that's kind of
the one minor complaint I had about this episode. For in a galaxy where you can travel at the speed of light, certainly they have some facial recognition software, because I'm sure they scanned him into that prison because they have that little hologram of him when he's younger. They didn't do that at this new prison and be like, that's the guy we're looking for.
But just again, politics at work or bureaucracy at work, they don't realize they might be looking in the wrong place.
But it's they should have some facial scanning that's this.
Well, I think that will come up as soon as Cyril and Dedra get together and make the link that he was at Aldhani. Yeah. And then, because they don't know that. The Empire doesn't know that.
Right.
Yeah. They just know that because that's why it's written so. Dedra is still doing this all just based off of the Star Path thing. That Luthen stole. And, calling him Axis, which I thought was cool. I was like, that's almost Fulcrum. I'm like, you're going with these these engineering analogies. That Fulcrum is definitely going to, I think, get said in the show. Because I was like Axis Fulcrum, they're too similar.
Times is wrong. It's got weird de-aged Diego Luna, and he I don't know him
in the image.
Well, because it's meant to be him from his Imperial record when he was serving.
It's a little goofy.
Not as bad as the Kenobi one. Yeah, the Kenobi hologram is worse.
Let's talk about the prison. I don't know if we've actually talked about the prison and
Andy Serkis
or Barrick. Well, that too.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Well, I told you, Brent. I told you he was in the show.
Oh no, I didn't doubt it. I was just it caught me again. It was when I watched when it was wait a minute, and then suddenly he just pops up as oh yeah, that's it. Somebody said he was going to be in it. Oh yeah, it was Levi.
Narkina 5, man. Cassian literally just walks in the wrong place, and he ends up in this horrible dystopian shock prison. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just love the Imperials walking in with their big ass orange boots. And, God, them getting electrocuted looks so awesome. Cassian was his back hand was against the ground. It's I don't know. The effect on the electrocution was super cool.
Yeah.
But very messed up.
Did you pick up on the fact that those boots were protected boots for this sort of thing? Because it did just beforehand. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a reason they're wearing these really goofy looking boots.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they had we know we're going to see those in the stores next year. But
do you think? I don't know.
I'd buy a pair in a heartbeat. Anyway. Whatever.
I'll hold you to that. If they make those, you will have
no, they're probably going to be $10,000 each.
I'd put money on that.
It'd be like the Back to the Future boots. They'll be like $10,000.
Well, I already knew about we had already known about the nature of this prison from some leaks and some trailers, but I actually wasn't the shock thing. It was because in the trailer, you see that there's a lot of water there's a scene where they're all running and there's water on the ground. So I thought it was going to be like an electrocution thing where they sent shocks through the water, and that's why they had their bare feet. Yeah. So I thought the boots were just they were
interesting.
It was the same sort of thing where they stopped the conduction of electricity, but maybe I don't know. But I didn't know that. I knew
metal
that
they make blasters out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you don't
super
wear
cool.
boots like that unless the purpose is for something specific. And it was like we were questioning it in our reaction. It was just like there's something weird going on there with those boots. And then it was like, wait a minute, they've electrified the floor, haven't they? And it's like, yep. 2 seconds
Then we get
later,
down.
Yep.
They bring him in, and we get great Andy Serkis scene. Like, come
Yes.
on, this guy is industry powerhouse. Me and Levi were talking about this pre-show.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the biggest actor they brought into Star Wars television thus far. Biggest name.
Again. Oh, television. Okay, yeah. Star Wars in general, though, it's like, is he really Snoke? No, I know.
No.
He's
Star Wars in general, like, I would say, like, he was also up there in The Last Jedi.
Right.
But
no, for sure.
even just in Star Wars television, though, like, we've had, you know, like Carl Weathers is a really big name. You know, Giancarlo, but like,
in terms of
Andy Serkis is an industry powerhouse.
So
his love to see him.
His purpose obviously is he wants to get out, or believes he's getting out in 250 days or whatever.
No, more than that. Oh, well, Andy Serkis.
It was
Andy Serkis.
Right, Andy Serkis, yeah. But the idea that you also have to kind of build yourself to that position within the ranks of the prisoners, just to make sure. I mean, if he fails, he either dies or just, you know, there's this whole thing of he literally feels like he could be there for the rest of his life.
Well, it sounds
without him.
I think that's how they all feel, though.
Yeah,
and that's what that one was. It
was Melshi. So only
was
Melshi. It seemed like everyone in that scene in the bunks seemed mad about what some of them did. At least they were mad that they're at the rebels for their you know the sentences getting lengthened. But Melshi was like, dude, they're gonna keep us in here for as long as they want. That's all BS anyway. They've stopped letting people out a long time ago. And Melshi knows what's up. And that's why, you know, Melshi and Cassian, as we know later on, are friends. And, you know, Cassian appoints Melshi to lead the team on the beach in Rogue One. So they both are able to see that very early. And Melshi is cognizant of the fact that that's why he's a true rebel. Like, he knows it, because this is all a lie anyway. Like, he sees through the whole thing that Ben was talking about earlier, and I love that.
So Death Star parts?
Yeah, that, like, I was wondering.
I think so. That's been the rumor for a long time, and I mean,
it's something. So. Obviously, like, they're using the, you know, what they call it, like the pod, the pork. What's the? No, it wasn't pork. What's the pork? What's the abbreviation? What's the abbreviation that they keep using for the public audience?
The PORD.
Yeah. Porg.
Like
not the pork.
Porg. It's a porg.
The porg.
Yeah.
Obviously, like they're using it just to like make soy flavor. Like so, obviously, partly it's in response to Aldani, but I think they were waiting for something like this to happen.
Yeah,
so they could
just bring in anyone, any small crime, any small.
Now they just have free workers.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
which is why they have these prisons set up, obviously.
And at the same time, speeding up the production.
I love it's just so smart how it's like they're gonna make they're not gonna be doing the work begrudgingly because they either die or get like tortured. I'm not sure if that's super clear. Do they just kill anyone? Like. Did they kill the worst table, or they just like torture?
No. They said they shock them.
They just shock. I know, but the shocks obviously can kill people,
right?
As we see.
Well, yeah, but he said it was level 1 to 3. There were 3 levels of it, and that when the floor goes red, it's like the worst version. And clearly, that guy he jumped off and like stayed in it, and it killed him.
Instantly fried. Well, man, that's such a great scene where they're just like. They're like, well, we're all here.
He's gonna leave him all day. He's gonna smell. No,
it's not even like, that dude just killed himself. They're just like, wow, it's so inconsiderate to do that during like sleeping hours. It's like, damn, this is a bad prison.
Yeah.
But then weirdly, it's like the facility is super clean. You have unlimited food and water, which is like sort of in your typical like messed up prison sequence in a movie or show. It's like you don't have that kind of stuff. It's like you get all these.
But they want the workers. They want the workers in good condition because they want them to work.
Yeah, it's a really it's a really scary idea. The prison.
Although
someone pointed out on Oh, go ahead.
What do they?
I was going to say that one scene when they're in the shower, and God, that just shocked me. That I mean, like shocked me in the reference of like, you know, the way it literally was pointing towards, you know, obviously the you know, of. Just it was just a it was a horrifying scene for me to watch for some reason. I just really got emotional on it.
Well, the whole prison was scary. Yeah,
the whole prison was scary, but
because you see when they fly in, there's like 10 of those prisons in just that one lake.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah. Didn't you also like? I admired the fact that the water suction around each of the things was designed. If you ever got to the top level and decide to jump to swim, that you'd just be pulled in and drowned into the water.
That's why I'm so excited for this escape. I don't know how you escape from this prison.
Yeah.
Well, they're telling you they're gonna do something with the water. I think that's gonna mess up.
Yeah, they're like flood it.
Yeah, like they're gonna flood it or something because you see it in the trailer. Them all running.
Oh, really? Okay. Right.
I'll have to rewatch the trailer. But no, someone pointed out online that
it's been a while.
It is sad that if it is Death Star parts that Cassian and Melshi are helping build the thing that ends up killing them. It's like messed up.
Ooh. Yeah.
Like, you had your whole point about Alderaan earlier with Tails.
Yeah.
Like this
it's dark.
This is like very literally like they are building this machine that will
kill them.
directly result in their
death. Yeah.
Death Star stuff is always one of the few very fan servicey things I never mind in Star Wars, where it's like, ooh, like this is about the Death Star, whether like Attack of the Clones, the Death Star plans.
Attack of the Clones is a little much, but
I've always liked that because I don't know, I'm a big New Hope guy, as you guys know, so Death Star is like a very big love the Death Star. That is quintessential Star Wars.
My mind goes to the second Death Star when Vader appears at the beginning of Jedi and Moff Jared kind of says, "We shall double our efforts," and it's
second Death Star.
How many more people are going to be in the prison cells like that, having to build more pieces and more? How many more?
It's great world building. We're seeing the nitty gritty, and how they are able to get this stuff done.
I love that scene. Honestly, I think my favorite scene, for whatever reason, may have been when the shore troopers were pulling people out and sorting them by their name, and you would give them your name, and they would put you on a different ship. Just like the way that was framed and shot, and how he still was like, "I'm a tourist. Like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And the shore troopers were so nonchalant about it. It's like, "Hey, what's your name? All right, you're on that one." And it was just such.
Yeah, we're into minor complaint number 2 for Gibbs here. Where the heck are all the aliens in the show? I don't know if this was just
they were at the dinner party.
I know. I don't know if this is like a prison that is meant for humans. Like maybe just when they're sorting people out, they only send humans to Nirvana 5.
Possibly.
Well,
did you also
know species resistant to electricity or something?
Electricity, Parwans, for example, in Clone Wars.
But in a subliminal element, not a single one of the prisoners that were lined up when they first went to the prison were white. They were all ethnical background in the human form, which was interesting too.
Yeah, I just
I think it's just segregated because there's also no women in the prison.
No, there's no women either. You're right.
And it's less of I guess it could make sense in a universe standpoint, but I just this show has just been missing aliens.
I do agree. It is missing.
That's the one I wouldn't even say minor. It's one of the sort of bigger criticisms I have of the show as a whole. I've been adamant about this early on. I think the whole Aldani heist, there should have been an alien character. But even droids, besides B2 Emo, it's not really any droid. I know K2, maybe season 2 would be a thing. Hopefully, I think season 2 of the show will benefit from an alien main character. I really hope that there is one.
Well, as we jump into the Rebel Alliance being together, we will see them, and we did. We got 2 tubes and more off this episode. And
I know, but they're they're.
I know they're pre-existing. I know, and they're
pre-existing. That's my complaint.
Now, what's going on with Andor's mother? She's obviously getting very sick and dying. I assume she'll not live out this.
No, she's not getting sick. She's not getting sick. She was trying to break into the Imperial.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah.
And she fell, is what happened.
She fell, but she also looked like she was just not well. I felt like she was.
No, she was not well. I mean, she was having.
She's not well, but it's because though she's trying to fight. Yeah. It's not because
she's trying to fight, but
is that getting sick? But she's sick because of that. Because she's trying to fight.
Yeah.
Is that a help? A pointless cause at this point for someone of that age and stature. She's going to keep fighting no matter what.
I expect more of it to go with a bang.
They name dropped the thing, the tunnel under the old hotel where the Imperials are. So like they're gonna come back to that obviously, and there's gonna be
I was getting Helm's Deep vibes from that. The one like sewer like weak spot, you know, on the Helm's Deep wall.
And we know from the trailer,
the tunnel underneath the hotel.
There's the big riot scene that's gonna culminate on Ferrix.
Yeah. And I think I think she's gonna die in this season, but I think she's gonna like sort of incite a rebellion.
It's like the rebellion, yes, in that episode, and she'll probably get killed, honestly, and that might incite it. It's her death.
And I mean, I hope Andor is there for that. Maybe that's going to be his sort of.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a dual episode where there's the riot on Ferrix and then him escaping from the prison.
I just wonder what's going to be the like. Obviously, there's been a lot of like he's sort of seeing how bad the Empire is, and he's building up his like. He wants to hurt them, but he's not like a straight up a rebel. And I'm just waiting for that moment that's really going to be the like.
Well, I mean, so Ben, was the question you were going to ask like where's this show going to end off? I think
season 1 or 2.
In season 1, I think that we might, of all the stuff we've seen, I think it might only be from 8, 9, and 10, and we actually have not seen anything from 10 or 11 and 12. I think the finale might be completely hidden from us so far because we got the Saw stuff this episode, and so that's going to be the rest of this arc, like with Luthen. I think it's very obviously all the prison stuff we're going to get. This is clearly the arc where Ferrix rebels. Yeah, we're seeing that. Yeah. And like that's all the footage.
In the shots of Cassian though, in that like lab area, you think that's going to be during the prison break?
Yeah,
probably.
And he's going to be, and I bet he's going to find out about the Death Star, maybe.
No,
or something going on.
Something. I mean, obviously not specifically because that's the whole plot of Rogue One. But like, I mean, like they know they're building something like messed up.
Yeah. So I think all of that's going to get resolved in the next 2 hours of content.
I would hope that this season 1 ends up like coinciding with the end of season 1 of Rebels with the Mon Mothma announcement.
I don't know if you guys saw that TV spot that they took down, but there was one sort of. I mean, it wasn't a leak. I mean, they posted it and then immediately took it down about a plot with the ISB and Luthen that I don't know if we want to talk about, but they revealed. They put in the trailer.
It was a trailer that was released. I think that's fair game.
Yeah, I mean. It's not such a big spoiler, but one of the ISB guys in that meeting, he's like the one with he's sort of the Weasley looking guy with the mustache. I mean, not mustache, but the blonde, younger. He's a spy for Luthen. And there's a scene in the
I like that.
In the trailers where he and Luthen are together and meeting in the Coruscant Underworld.
Well, because we did see that one shot of like the elevator going down into the Underworld.
The elevator coming down, and
we haven't seen the Star Destroyer like being built.
The Star Destroyer being built is from Mando 3.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Oops. Got my shows confused.
that's from a trailer.
Yes. Yeah.
That was at Celebration.
It's Celebration. There is one other note I wanted to mention too. The prisoners who are obviously hand signing communication between each other. A part of a greater escape plan, obviously, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to take note was there was this opening scene soon after Andor arrived. The black guy came in, said, "Sorry, I'm late. I got caught, whatever." It was a weird moment. It was like, who's this guy who just randomly was late to the Imperial, into the Imperial things? Was he a?
I think
someone who took over.
I see. I guess it was a little weird because they did sort of like put that in. But what they're talking about is how someone like died down on the floor, which is why they're like, oh, Andor was going to go replace that guy. So I don't know if it was just that.
Maybe it was.
I see what you mean. Where they did call attention to it.
They did call attention to it. I was like, okay, does this mean that this is somebody who actually is kind of new here and is like?
No, I think it was just another one of those Gilroy things where it's just a how do you say, like a state of the world kind of thing. It's
right, a moment in time that even the Imperials can be a little tardy sometimes because of other things or other situations.
Well, I think it's what Gibbs is saying too, though. It's because that guy died on the floor.
Correct. No, you're right. Yeah,
so it all tied in.
Yeah,
I don't think you're right. I think you might have a point there, Brian. They do sort of call attention to it. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there is a defector in there. Like, they might need some help to escape. I don't know if they're pulling that off on their own. So
we'll see.
Yeah, well, some communication is going on.
The Tales of the Jedi soundtrack has just been released. So
okay.
So maybe we'll have to wrap the stream and go listen
Send
to that.
me the link. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I want to listen to that score so badly.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't think I have any other thoughts about Andor aside from the fact that I loved it.
Yeah.
All the Mon Mothma stuff is great.
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about that.
Absolutely burning freaking Perrin, being like, charity starts in the home. Hilarious.
Oh, that was great.
So
yeah,
funny.
I reacted to that as well.
Perrin's look. Like that. I love the guy who plays Perrin.
I was just about to say, like, he is like, he irks like a great performance because you hate this guy. Like he's just so condescending and like cold.
And it's confirmed, like I said, it was an arranged marriage when they were young.
Yes.
And it's just
that's what it felt like.
He's creepy and just like I hate this guy. Like even when it's just him and Mon Mothma, like it's like he hates her. Or the squibs.
Yeah,
he has two squibs.
There was
he's like two squibs again.
Yeah. There was a weird beat between Mon and her daughter that was a little weird. I was trying to understand what that was.
Yeah, she doesn't like her either. Like,
no, she doesn't like her, but there was just this other moment of like, that's a weird piece of conversation that happened
she
there.
Said she made the observation that Tay was around all the time.
Right, yeah.
Which is an indication that, time has passed, which we know, but also that she suspects her mother of...
is having an affair,
maybe having an affair, but there's that something else is going on. She's like, you're around all the time. Like,
right.
She was, I think that scene, Lita was suspicious of her mom, is the way I read it.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, but I was trying to figure out whether she was suspicious, whether she thought she was having an affair with this guy, which is probably more realistic, because why would she even think that her mother's part of a big conspiracy to rebel against?
I don't know. They are like, he is suspicious of her because he kept sending people over to interrupt.
Yeah, you're right.
Like their conversation with Tay.
Maybe it's got down to the fact that he's convinced his daughter that there's something going on with your mother. I mean, that is also a scary thought,
which
too.
is what all the scenes were really off-putting.
Right. Yeah,
you can just tell it even outside of like, they have arranged marriage. Maybe it isn't super like loving, but he doesn't like Mon Mothma.
Yeah, but the thing is that Mon still doesn't leave until like season 3 or 4 of Rebels, right? When we see her join.
Well, she doesn't officially secede from the Empire,
Yeah, which means that she'd have to keep up a front back home, at least to that moment in time. So obviously, we won't get whatever separation goes on until next season, obviously. But it's still kind of like, it's gonna be.
Yeah, but she's still running the rebellion.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna get the Rebels season 1 announcement like in this show
in season 2. Yeah, we will. Tony Gilroy said we will.
Yeah.
In this season or next season?
Next season. It's very fun.
I was hoping it would end with this.
No, the interviewer talked about it, like, it's because it has to do with the Gorman massacre thing, which Saw Gerrera brings up the Gorman front yet again in this episode, because they're hammering down that the Gorman element is going to be what eventually leads, obviously, to the Gorman massacre, which is what Mon Mothma leaves the Senate over. That's when she makes the moment to declare the Rebel Alliance. So it's like they're establishing it throughout season 1, and he said like, no, that doesn't happen till he got asked about it as an interviewer. Like, an interviewer asked him a question. He was like, no, that doesn't happen till like 3 BBY, and that's not yet.
Yeah, that's it.
Tony knows
exactly,
because it's going to be in the show, because he's putting it. He's laying that groundwork for that.
Yeah, laying the groundwork for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Wow.
So good episode.
So we had 2 hours of Star Wars last night. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It was good. And Andor was fantastic. Tales of Jedi.
I'd say we got about 90 minutes of really good Star Wars, and then about 30 minutes of mid Star Wars.
Oh, shut up.
Do I need to explain why Resolve was a bad episode again?
I was fine with the mid as well, as much as I was with the good. So it's like, it was
Resolve actively angers me.
It was a full night. Let's say, needless to say, it was a very full night of Star Wars, which was.
Yeah, I know. Some of the people on this channel didn't even get to watch it.
I know.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think we're gonna have a stream like a crate brought a break 2 hours here. Just so much to talk about.
And we haven't even talked about any of the news yet, which we're trying to record a pod.
I know. Sorry, we didn't get a pod out this Sunday.
So much news. We know, guys. James Gunn, Henry Cavill, Black Adam. Like, there's so much. I think
this Sunday we're gonna have a mega pod probably next Monday.
We gotta get it done. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I'd say last thing to do is final ratings on that Andor app. For me, it's like another 9.5. Like,
I want to put this one at a 10 for me. I thought there was there was nothing that I didn't not have any slightest even issue with about. This was the most claustrophobic and pressured I'd ever felt watching an Andor, a Star Wars story of some sort. I felt like I was that trapped due to the way they just did everything. It was great. It was great.
This is a 9.
This was the perfect 10 for me. Yeah.
9-3.
Yeah.
Nearly a perfect show. This is House of the Dragon level. It's honestly, I still personally think House of the Dragon is better. But by the end of this show, I think they might be on par because 12 episodes of this versus 10 of the House of the Dragon, and this is
true.
I don't know, like this is a good year for genre.
Good content. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Better Call Saul season 6, baby.
Yep.
I gotta watch.
Yes, you do. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this very long live stream. I think we've had some people in and out, but it's been great talking about these shows with you guys. We'll be back next Wednesday for Andor once again.
F9.
The
Rise of Skywalker of Andor.
Only 4 more episodes.
Ooh.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's a whole month. We got another month of Andor though, so I wouldn't sleep on that. Only 4 more episodes, yes, but another month of Andor.
Yeah. 4 left.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Next time. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye.